Ready to go, Yvonne? Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Village of Ruidoso workshop meeting. And if you'll stand with me, we'll observe a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Okie dokie. Can we get a roll call, please, ma'am?
Mayor Crawford.
Here.
Councilor Eby.
Here.
Councilor Letterman.
Here.
Councilor Salas.
Here.
Councilor Hooker.
Here.
Councilor Jackson.
Here.
Councilor Corey.
Here. Great. We'll get on with today. This is going to be the most fun that you're going to have all year. But I guarantee if you pay attention, you're going to learn a lot. So we'll start off with discussion and presentation of the fiscal year 2025 Village of Ruidoso operating budget.
Good morning, Mayor, Council, staff. It's hard to believe it's FY25 already. And I just want to acknowledge Judy and her staff for getting the budget prepared, working with directors and managers and departments, and now we will present our budget. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I wanted to go a little bit over how your binders grouped. The first tab is the proposed budget, and that is an actual recap by fund, by category of what the expenses are. I want you to zero in. It's a red column, and it says net. Those are the amounts that revenues exceed or don't exceed estimated expenditures. And right now, all the funds are in balance within estimated ending cash balance with the exception of the airport. If you look, it will bring out totals on the second page. So right now, the total budget for the village, which is on page 2, and it would be the subtotal column, and it's in black. Right under the black line, right now we're budgeting at $53 million in expenditures. What's included in this budget is on personnel, there is an 8% increase in health insurance coverage. I know that they've estimated it at 13. It'll probably be around 10. So that number may or may not fluctuate for personnel. Also, right now, there are no new positions in the budget. Everybody had the same number as last year. If we move forward through personnel, there is an actual detailed presentation by employee, all the benefits that we pay by department, by fund. So we can look through that if you have any questions. Anything in green on that spreadsheet, it's behind the personnel section, is an actual vacant position when I was looking at personnel. And I looked at personnel in March 26, so those were vacant positions. So although they were vacant at the time, we're still budgeting them. And of course, when we budget for a vacant position, we budget at full benefits.
Judy, question. We just approved salary increases for dispatch. Is that budgeted?
That is not currently in the budget. He's currently budgeted at 11 positions, but I'll go back in the adopted and budget the 9 and adjust the numbers however they end up being. So, Counselor. The next section is capital outlay. These are all the requests that are over $5,000. These are the requests that are one time, and this is what we usually use our cash reserves for. And right now, there's a department requested and a proposed, and we'll go through those through each departmental's presentation of their budget for '25. And then, of course, the remaining tabs are all by department. You will be presented with a cover page of the FTEs that the department currently has, and then you'll have their budget worksheet, which includes any details that they had in their budget. One difference is in some of the books, some of the counselors gave us their books from last year, so we recycled them. So in the presentation, airport might be with fire on your book, but if you have a new book, mayor, I think Solace, EB, I think you have a new book, fire is actually going to be behind streets. So that's just the only difference between the books when we're looking at them. So if you have any questions, if not, we'll start with the department presentations.
Yes, we're ready.
All right, so I believe the first one is RJU. However you guys want to do, if you want to come up I one or. Oh, okay.
Which one we going?
So it's the first tab, it's called
RJU?
RJU. Yep.
Judy, do you want to just inform the
okay.
council on the revenue projections? They're estimated, but we have incorporated an estimated rate with the new rate analysis, rate study.
So right now, because we don't know what the rate analysis ending amounts are going to be, I just budgeted a flat 5 million, well, 7 million overall. And as you can see, if you look at current year-to-date, we're a lot under it, is because I had included a rate increase in the current budget. So right now, I carried it through. However, that may not be the right projection. But again, you got to remember that this is just a starting budget. This is just a place for us to begin our new fiscal year. It can always be changed. And so right now, I'm projecting the service charges at 7.1 million. And that's on page 100 of the budget worksheet. It's right after the title page.
Got it.
And you can see that if you go to the total at the bottom of page 100, you'll see the 7 million.
Yes.
If we go to the next page, which is water billing, these are the two ladies that take the utility payments. We're not budgeting any new personnel in there, and overall, the expenditures kind of stayed the same.
I'm sorry, did you budget a COLA increase?
There is a pay for performance of 1% that's included in the budget, and the additional 1% for the anniversary in the personnel section.
So that's our COLA.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We just did away with that term COLA and did some other things to try to incentivize.
The biggest expenditure in this department is the printing of the utility bills at $65,000, which is under contract service.
People still have the option to go paperless.
Yes, they do. We do not have very many, but we do have some. We do have a lot of people that pay bank draft, but we still have the ones that like to come and write us a check and talk a little bit and visit and stuff. But the majority is online payments.
Thank you.
On the billing, have you looked into our bills more itemized to show?
We were just talking about that, Counselor Letterman, Mayor, now that we've gotten Dusty on board and she's rocking and rolling.
Good.
She's actually looking at other bills because I know it's not the easiest to read. She has some experience because she used to live in the Houston area, so she has what she used to get as her bill. I know she's contacting Alamogordo about their bill and trying to get a feel of what we could do with that bill. As soon as she gets that going, then we can bring it back to council and look to see maybe if there's a graphs or something that we could put on the bill to look good.
Yeah, I just thought it might, well, we were talking that it might be a little bit easier if people realize that there's more things on the bill than just a water bill.
Yes.
And I know that it shows, but it's so small, people don't look at that. They look at the final, what is my bill this week, this month?
And I know a lot of people don't even look at the bill as long as it's the same amount as last month. They don't really care. The only time they open it is when it's not the same amount, and then they'll open it.
Yeah.
So that's why the girls have been trying two things to get people registered with Eye on Water, so that you can monitor your consumption, so that if you are out of town and you do have a leak, there's something that's warning you. And then number two is if you can get online with our online payment, you can actually look at consumption, you could look at graphs. You could compare this consumption of this summer with last summer, but, people are
I know.
just creatures of habit, so.
Okay, thank you.
So overall, their budget pretty much went up $400. If you look at the total budget for '24 compared to '25.
What's the time period on the 23-24 activity? Is that 3 quarters?
That would be through March. 3 quarters. Any other questions? Okay, if not, we'll move on to water production, which if you turn to the next page, they start at 103, and it's Department 502-210.
Was there a position eliminated?
We were just talking about that. They still have the same number of positions, but what I'm thinking is either somebody changed their coverage and insurances, or they had some changes in vacancies, or people that left could have been at higher rates, so that's why there might be a little reduction. However, he's still budgeted at full 11 positions.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed last year's budget was 43,000 higher.
Got it in my notes.
Oh, okay.
We got Coughlin down here now that's, money guy.
You can see the money went from salaries and it went into group insurance and para. So if that is, then that means it's a reflection of something with the rates
Okay.
and the insurance coverages.
Good morning, Mayor, council members.
Morning, Randy.
Randy Kane with Water Production, Department 210. Like Judy said, our department we have 11 FTEs with 2 vacancies. That's the compliance operator and the water plant operator 4. And that's, what I'm doing is I'm kind of highlighting why things went up and why things went down, to kind of paraphrase it. The first section, which is personnel, like Judy said, we had spoke about that yesterday, because it did decrease $43,270. And, I just wanted to get good clarification, because we still have 11 positions that we're going to be staffed. So I think she kind of covered that.
So you're comfortable, Randy, with the 5?
I think so. Like she said, probably the 2 new positions will come in a little bit lower than the people that were in those positions for a while. And so the next one is ads and publication. It actually increased $850. The reason being is Gemini, their price went up. That's the people that I submit the CCR to, and they do all the fabrication and publication, and they mail it out. So their price increased a little bit, so that's why we made the adjustment on that. Uniforms, it decreased $500, partially because of the new contractor Mission that came in. So that dropped $500. General office supplies decreased $400. So what we did is we looked at all our numbers and, our actuals. And if, we didn't use as much, we kind of made adjustments to try to make it a better budget. So office supplies went down 400. We used less supplies. Utilities, that's the biggest increase.
Yeah, that's a biggie.
Went up $108,400. I think my explanation on that one is the year before, last year's budget, we dropped at $80,000. The reason we did that, because we didn't run wells for 9 months. We ran Eagle Creek Water. So if you kind of add that in, that's, and we're running all wells now, except for lately, where they're shut off because we're bringing in 900 and something gallons from Eagle Creek. So I think that's probably part of, or the biggest increase. So.
So the projections for telephone and utilities are based on an average and current year usage, so that's probably why the changes too.
And we're cutting it close right now, so
Turn the lights off.
we do.
Use a flashlight.
So, solar.
Yeah.
Okay,
Randy?
chemicals, actually, we decreased at $10,000. And I'm gonna give kudos to Terry Yarborough because he kind of spearheaded the project. What he did is, he called a lot of vendors and we did jar testing and was able to find the chemicals a lot cheaper. The same identical chemicals, which at a lower cost. Plus, the other thing is we've been working with efficiency and we were able to reduce it. And I give him a lot of credit on that one because he did a good job and we actually lowered our costs and dropped it 10,000. Repairs distribution, we actually brought that number back to 100,000. I think last year we did this year we did a BCR for a Hollywood well, $18,181. So now we brought it back to the original amount that we feel good with. The grindstone maintenance, we actually decreased that 1,000 based on actual cost. Well development, we decreased to $16,888.
Randy?
Yes.
What would entail a well development?
Well, that one's kind of tricky.
Just give me what is that?
Yeah, that one's kind of a,
Are you looking for are you looking to?
let me see on the description.
It just says well development. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that one's kind of a, let me see, I can't.
It's probably a catch-all for anything that has to do with a repair to a particular well,
That's what I'm thinking, but
any kind of.
Okay.
it is kind of a catch-all. It's kind of, for different parts of the well and stuff. So,
For any well we have, and it goes to okay,
pretty much.
okay.
I know that one's kind of, we want to redefine that in the description to make it a little more clear, so.
How about well maintenance, because that kind of falls in line with your others.
Right, yeah, that's the next one is well maintenance. But that's where we pull a lot of actually, the next one on here was repair, maintenance, and pump house. Yeah. So we decreased that one 5,000, and a lot of it is, we did in this year's budget, we did a lot of repairs to the pump houses. We put in VFDs and new pumps, new three-phase. So a lot of the stuff is done, in this year's budget. So we don't anticipate a big expenses on that one, so we decreased it 5,000. Professional services decreased $602. Telephone increased $760. Because what we have is, we have 3 work phones, Terry, myself, and the on-call, tablets, and then a hotspot, and then Office 365 for 3 personnel. And then travel in schools, we decreased it 1,500. We're doing less travel and more online.
Randy,
Yes, sir.
question on the insurance. Judy, is that billed by department, or do you just sort that out?
Oh, sorry.
Counselor Corey, Mayor. So we get our renewal rates, and then it's broken out by their fixed asset percentages. And the majority of the insurance is paid by the general fund, and these RJU, the treatment plant, solid waste, and a little bit of airport get allocated that way. The general fund pays for streets and RSVP.
I'm going to go back to well development. I did find the description. It's well maintenance, minor repairs, and it used to be on-call well services, so.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Training and development, we actually increased it $1,000. A lot of it is because we're doing more online training. We set up the AWWA classes where anybody in the village can actually get on and do training, and they've got a lot of good information and a lot of good classes. So we're trying to do that. The other thing we're doing is we try to send the operators to Jake Hands since it's here in Ruidoso, and we don't have to pay travel costs. That's kind of smart business. So we do that, and that helps out. Equipment and maintenance agreements, that increased $5,000. SCADA services for each unit, that's $2,590 for each unit, and we're adding about 20 more sites. Because right now, we pretty much have all the critical pieces to the water water production and distribution on SCADA, which is great. So
What's the franchise tax? What is that?
It's 5% set by ordinance, and it's based on their revenues. The same thing with the payment in lieu of taxes. It's set by ordinance
Where does that money end up?
in the general fund.
Thank you.
And so, vehicle maintenance, it actually increased $2,078. We have 12 vehicles, and that goes for tires, general maintenance, and repairs. Equipment vehicles, none. We're not asking for any vehicles. We're not even asking for projects or construction. And the backhoe, there's no more backhoe lease because we worked the deal. We were able to pay off our backhoe that we have now, so it's ours. So, and we are gonna take care of the maintenance and everything, so that won't fall behind.
Nice.
And then the bottom line is the budget reduction from for 2024-25 is $181,856 less. That concludes my presentation.
Good job, Randy.
Any questions?
Thank you, Randy.
Keep making water.
So, thanks.
morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As Judy mentioned, and in setting up this budget, I kind of looked at what our expenditures were for the year and just kind of decided how we were going to budget. If, we looked like we were going to be spending about the same, I kept it about the same. There are some increases that I did add to the budget, specifically in the contingency fund, because I know that we don't have any additional funds for capital projects. I like to have plenty of money in contingency to cover any projects that come up that we didn't plan for, any emergencies, and sometimes that money will get moved over to water production and water distribution. It's not just for RJU, it's also for both those programs. So this last year, I don't know, there might have been a mistake. It was budgeted at 175 last year, and I moved it up to 225 to cover it because I don't have any other funds available besides SGRT, and I like to have those funds available just in case we need them. It did come in handy for a couple of items that we needed to purchase throughout the year. We do have some plans. In the past, the program has kind of looked at constantly doing new things. So what we're trying to do with this year is look at completing the projects that we have in place and updating all the plans that are pertinent to water conservation and anything to do with water resource. So that's what we're planning to do in this year's budget. We do have a lot of people who are going to be either retiring and moving on, and possibly in the next 2 years. So some of the contractual and professional services fees will be utilized to look for somebody to help us move in that direction to figure out a good solution and to get people trained who are interested in possibly moving into those positions.
Chris, that budget dropped 164,000.
Yeah, that was because prior year, we had some POs that we had to carry over.
Okay.
So it dropped. It was just because
artificially
it was
high.
artificially high, yes. So there were several POs. I've only been in the position a little over a year, so when I got that budget, there was a lot of POs that were kind of just sitting there, so we just carried them over till I understood where we were with those projects.
Does the same apply to the professional services?
Yes, the same. And I think this year, since we've gotten a handle on the projects and the program, we're trying to make sure that we close out those POs so we don't have that again. Part of succession planning is, in my section particularly, I'm trying to bring Ashley along with me in the budgeting so that she understands what we're doing, so she does have input into what we're doing and how things are working within the program. So she has also had a lot of input into this budget.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But I'm not sure if you have any questions on any specific line items or anything that I can clarify.
So we're not doing any, right now, we don't have any planned projects.
Well, we have SGRT for some of the projects that we are going to utilize those funds for because the rate was not implemented last year. We just didn't want to over budget until
Yeah.
the rate went into effect. But we do have quite a bit of funds available in SGRT for projects that are coming up, yes.
Okay.
So we do have projects that we do plan to utilize SGRT funds for.
Okay,
But until we get those quotes and we know exactly how much they're going to cost, I haven't put them in, given them to Judy yet.
so when we have, like the Whibbit and we get, so is that for water production? I mean, the watershed? When we,
The
look for-
WIBIT funds
is that
are
different?
That's a separate fund.
Yeah,
And
okay.
that is, we have our watershed advisory committee.
Right.
They're for watershed projects, but
Yes.
it's not part of SGRT.
Got it. Okay.
That's actually Fund 217, Department 205, and you'll see it when we go through that budget when it's in Parks and Rec's
Parks and Rec.
I don't know if the training budget changed, but one of the things that, Christella, myself, and Jackie will be doing is we're trying to, become more certified within our programs. That way we're not having to hire out, for engineers to, or surveyors to go do these. So one of the things that Christella and I will be doing would be like ordinary high watermark training. So we don't have to actually go out for this. We'll be able to go out and survey ourselves and, submit it. It's an Army Corps requirement. Every year with surveys. So, I don't know if the training budget changed, but
It
that's
didn't
something. Okay.
increase, we had adequate funds
Okay.
last year. But we're just trying to, build in redundancy within the program, so that everybody within our program understands what the other one does. So in the future, if they are interested in moving up into positions, they're adequately trained and ready to go for that.
I didn't even see a training.
It's under, training and development on page
Oh, got
106
it, got it.
last line.
See it, yeah, okay.
And we did define some of you'll see what's called Swamp School, and that's where most of those certification trainings are held, and it's all online.
Excellent.
Any questions for Christella?
Excellent.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next department is water distribution, and that begins on page 108. Their FTEs are 21, and they are asking for some capital outlay. I believe they are asking, a dump truck, manholes on Highway 70 and Mary Drive sewer line, so, he can go over those when he gets to that section.
Okay, we'll go ahead and hit that if that's okay with you guys. Mayor, council. So as far as the capital outlay, we are asking for a dump truck for the water distribution department in the amount of $340,000. The other one is the manholes on Highway 70 at $200,000. As you know, the manholes, we've been trying to replace for the last couple of years. The gases have eaten them up, so every one of them is gonna have to be replaced.
Yeah.
Going back up to the beginning of the budget, most of the budget is kind of a wash from last year. There is a couple things that we did change. Subscription and dues, this was for my 811 dues yearly. And this is also for the, each person who has like an operator number, it's their dues for their AWWA certifications. We are almost fully staffed. I think we're down 2 people at this time. So we do have some new people that will be, hopefully this next year, going and getting their certifications.
And that's reflected in your full-time salaries?
Yes, ma'am. Next is the fuel. We did kind of project what we're going to spend in fuel off of what we did this year, with the raises. It's not much. Hopefully, we'll be all right there. Next is safety equipment. We did raise that up to $60,000. We are outfitting a safety trailer, new trench boxes. Marty does have some shoring equipment, but we are outfitting that trailer as a safety trailer. And with the new people coming on, we are having to order new harnesses and new gas monitors this year. Moving on to travel, or actually, the next one down is the contingency. As Christella said, last year we did have a contingency in there. We did use some. This is for unforeseen projects that come up. For instance, Sudderth and Carrizo, having to redo water lines and stuff that is unforeseen.
Yep.
Just one side point on contingency, when they budget the contingency, they don't spend it out of there. They move the monies from contingency to wherever they need it. So if they started out with a high contingency and they used a lot of it, of course, when you see these reports, it's not gonna show a lot in contingency. The other departments' account numbers are already inflated with the contingency amounts.
So Judy, help me. So do we have a big pot of contingency, and then each department says, I need 150 of that, or 200 of that?
So, the enterprise funds have just recently started doing contingencies because that's what was happening is they would budget and then something unexpected would happen and then they were trying to struggle, to transfer monies and stuff. And sometimes it was just a small repair or something that they didn't think about. So we started doing contingencies. As far as the general fund, only the general fund has a contingency, and it's in Ron's department. A department will go to Ron and say, you know, I have, whatever the case, I need a widget, and I didn't think about it, and the plant's gonna be shut down. The general fund departments will go to Ron. If he approves it, then we transfer the money out of his contingency into wherever they need their department. Same thing with RJU. Both, I believe, do all your departments have a contingency, or is it just you and Adam? Just her and Adam have. So Christella's can go to any of the departments within her fund, and they have to go through Christella to give her reasons of why they need it. Adam is using his, he just has to pull it from his own.
So Ron has the big pot, and then,
Is his pot gonna get smaller?
Yes, I always have to refill it every year because he uses it a lot. He's a softie.
He
Thank you.
squeaks. Moving down to travels and schools, and again, you know, we're talking about the dues for the new people. We did raise it up a little bit, $5,000, just for the newer guys to be able to attend some of the short schools, to try to get their certifications. Moving down to equipment maintenance, we did raise that from 105,000 to 120,000. As you know, we do have some older equipment that has been breaking down this last year. Our Vactor, we spent a lot of money on our Vactor trying to keep it up and running. We are getting our new Vactor this year, so, I mean, hopefully we can keep this one running for, you know, for the time being and keep it as a backup. But we do have that new piece of equipment coming in, and we're, you know, in case something does happen to it.
Excuse me, Adam, Mayor. Ron, didn't we talk, or are we still talking to the college about doing classes here for water and wastewater levels?
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Salas, we have been, they're working with New Mexico Rural Water in trying to get the classes here or with the college there in Las Cruces area.
Right.
Doña Ana County, so there's still, it's a work in progress. There is still the courses in Las Cruces, the short school in January, and then I believe the Inn has a class here in June,
And Albuquerque,
and then
And
Albuquerque.
that's what I thought.
Yes.
It's either Las Cruces or Albuquerque, but as far as for like CEUs and stuff, I mean, that's what I was thinking, because I know some of the other communities could benefit off of that for their operators, or at least level 1, level 2.
Yes, and Ryan, the president, is still trying to get those courses here,
Okay.
which would be great if we could get the water and wastewater and collections certificate, be able to at least take the class here. You still have to go test. I believe in Alamogordo, you have to be proctored, and you have to take the test over at the Workforce Solutions.
Yes, and they're trying to move that, working with Ryan also, he's also trying to bring that here to get, you know, just more redundancy to get people to get the test also.
Okay.
And Mayor and Council, just an aside, through HR, we're looking to probably go visit down in Las Cruces, the DAC program, one, for recruitment, but two, to try and show them that we need the need here to help partner with ENMU so that they can get that commitment of where we're at and trying to get people here.
that'd be great.
Because I just remember when, what's the teacher's name? Deanna, that they took Oberhue took the tours of the plant and the regional wastewater, and it seemed like there was some interest
Yes.
of those kids, you know, and then, I mean, that's the thing, if we could get them to just stay here, do intern or something in the summertime in their junior year or something like that, and just get
And
them
that's-
introduced to it, so.
And Mayor Crawford, Counselor Salas, we are working on an internship program, so it's going to be part of the, on the HR, so.
That would be,
And try to bring some kids in for those types of specialties within the water and wastewater.
at least they would kind of get a feel for what the
Absolutely.
job entailed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. So Adam, on here, you have your Vector truck, your backhoe, your copy machine. Are those all things that are coming out, they're not capital outlay, they're not
No.
asking for those?
So we've already purchased the 2024 Vector. It just hadn't come in yet.
Okay.
So that's the lease payment on that one. The 420 Caterpillar backhoe, again, we've received it. That is the
Okay.
lease payment for this year.
So those
They're
are
rentals.
rent, okay, those are lease payments.
Lease payment.
Okay.
So real quick, back up to the CenturyLink, Verizon, Windstream. Tell me again, we have CenturyLink,
Telephone, let me see what your thing says.
because we have it's just $300 and then 10,400 to Verizon. Is
Those are
that
the cell phones
for the employees?
for the employees.
What's the CenturyLink? Is that internet?
I'll have to see which one's center.
Because we've got that throughout the budget,
Was
CenturyLink.
that still the landlines? Are we still not landline with CenturyLink?
Doubt it. That would be TDS or, that's Windstream or TDS. That's landlines. CenturyLink provides the big trunk lines. So I just don't know, but it's every department, you have $300. I was just curious.
And that may be, Michael just brought up a good point. That may be the boost on the cell phones. Because like my phone will work anywhere. My village phone, it's like the data on the phone will work on this phone better than it will on this phone. We have priority on the actual work phones. So that may be it also.
But that would, why would that have anything to do with CenturyLink instead of Verizon? I was just curious because we have it on here. I was just wondering.
CenturyLink has been, the name's been changed also. Yes, but it's changed now to,
West, and then it's
a new company now.
CenturyLink was bought up by Level 3, and
Yes.
they're the hubs that come through. So I was just curious.
And they provide our 911, so.
CenturyLink does?
They're the main, remember when we were building we had the issue and it all went through, they changed names, but the CenturyLink went to the main where it gets sent out and then we get the 911 call.
It's long distance.
Long distance?
CenturyLink is long distance.
Okay.
I just went and asked
Robin?
Robin.
And if we're all on VoIP phones, I don't know why we got long distance.
That's exactly
Yeah.
be the question. It's from the old school, when you had to type in a number if you were dialing from your desk to be able to make a long distance call, and that may still exist.
At $300 for each department, that adds up.
But I was just curious because, we went through this where we found out we still were paying a lot for the old DSL lines. And so for VoIP, maybe this is just further looking into it, so. Okay, thank you.
Again, on the equipment maintenance also, part of that is to outfit the new Vector with the new bullets and everything that we need for it. Vehicle maintenance, it was raised up again. We did have to use some contingency this year for some of the vehicles. It was raised up to $40,000 from $33,000. And I think we've already talked about the capital outlay, and the only other one was the sewer line extension for $50,000, and that is to tie in, get easement and tie in Mary Drive.
Good one.
And I'll stand for any questions.
With your new building, are you seeing a big rise in utilities?
Actually, it's not too bad. It's more,
You don't even have heat over there, do you?
oh yeah.
Oh, you do? You ever run it?
Yeah.
I was told y'all were pretty stingy with that.
I bought him new jackets.
Hand warmers.
They're never in the building anyway, so, no.
Judy, help me remember ever seeing, what's the utility fund surplus deficit? So what does that mean?
Where are you looking? Where is it?
It's at the very bottom of the page 110.
Oh, so that's how much their, either revenues exceed expenditures or expenditures exceed revenues.
It's
So right
saying
now it's-
either
it's
or,
what-
surplus or
Or
deficit. It could be either or.
But it operates at a loss generally.
Right now it is. And as you know, we budget revenues low and expenditures high, so in most realities, what I have to make sure is that ending number is staying within their estimated cash ending balance. And right now if you look at the recap sheet, RJU is at 4.8 million, so that's why in the swing of things.
Will the dump truck have a plow on it?
This dump truck will not have a plow. We didn't outfit it with a plow. It'll just be for the water leaks.
Okay. 10-yarder, 12-yarder,
Yeah, 15-yard.
15-yarder?
Yeah. We have the smaller dump trucks, but as many times as we borrow the street department's dump trucks for these digs, we need one big dump truck.
Good.
Beautiful.
Any other questions? If not, the only remaining fund is SGRT. And right now, that starts on page 57, and right now, projections on the SGRT for the year are at 4.3 million in GRTs. And as Christella said, once she gets proposals, then those funds will be allocated, but at this time, if the departments didn't know what the estimate was for capital projects, we didn't include it. Also, if a current project is underway in the current fiscal year, you won't see it rebudgeted at this time. That'll happen when we do the first budget adjustment and I do the rollovers, okay?
What's, historically, we've had state grants, but there's nothing budgeted.
So those are the, what we've been with, Water Trust Board grants, the loans and grants. In the last, I would say 2 years, we've been very, successful in getting those, so that's why we've seen some of the grants within the last few
Okay,
years.
but you haven't.
We don't have anything new. All we have are ones that are currently in progress, so I don't like to try to estimate what the ending balances are. I just wait until the fiscal year closes and then I'll roll over any balances. If there's no questions on that one, we'll move to the next people on the schedule.
I did have,
Oh, okay.
Judy, a question
Uh-huh.
on water conservation. Page 59. Last year, we budgeted 94,000. We're not budgeting anything this year,
It's on the top of the page,
59.
59.
They're waiting to get their cut from the WIBIT money, so.
So that has been a rollover from each year because about 5 years ago, we were looking into starting a conservation program, whether it be toilets, rebates, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
So is that just?
So when Eric left, I think Christella has been getting up to speed, so as soon as we decide what kind of program we want to have, there are some funds set aside to do a water conservation program, if we wanted to.
That's part of, we are working on updating the water conservation plan. Once that's in place, we'll set that fund up and
So, Christella, the contingency fund, could that be used for the water conservation?
those are two separate. The contingency fund is, let's say Randy needs a new pump and doesn't have enough funds, then I move that money over to his budget so that he can buy a pump, or one of our wells goes out. We have a couple of our wells that are starting to fail, and I kind of know that they're coming, so that could cost us $100,000. But
It doesn't cross funds. She'll only use her contingency on her department or her funds expenditures. In SGRT,
You
That's
don't
totally
allow
separate.
transfers between departments?
because SGRT is restricted on the types of projects that you
Okay.
can use.
Okay.
I can
Water
re-
purchase,
It has to be something to do with water and then the environment.
Okay.
In addition to SGRT, we do have environmental GRT here, and that is restricted to an environmental.
Watershed
and
projects.
it has to meet certain criteria within the statute to qualify, so that's why we don't cross-reference, or crisscross between funds to keep it.
So, years ago, I mean, we were really pushing water conservation, and I understand we've got a better handle on our water resources now, but the challenge with conservation programs is you only start going after them when you have no water. And, you know, I would encourage us to look at, you know, a program going forward.
Yeah, we're looking at updating our water conservation plan, and we're also working with Eric Queller to develop a drought contingency plan too. So we're trying to do all these things ahead of time, and that's what we plan to focus on this next fiscal year. Instead of a lot of new construction projects, we're gonna work on the plans that need to be updated.
well, tell them about the, just the information that we've received on user quality. I mean, Ruidosans are very light users. We're one of the lowest
Yes.
per person usages in the state. So we've done that, but we've had in the past shower heads, flapper valves, all of that stuff that we did, and it's something you have to constantly push.
Yeah, and we're trying to, be working with one of our on-call engineers to help us to develop that and see if we can come up with new programs. I know there's a lot of funding available also to help fund some of those programs, so we're not utilizing our funds to do that. There might be grants available to help us buy the items and make them available to the public.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Judy.
Thanks, Chris.
So we'll move on to treatment plant. Mr. Isaac. Okay, is streets or
Let's
airport?
do streets and airport. Adam will be up with them. And then when Isaac gets here,
Streets?
Oh, Josh is here too, okay.
and airport.
And, oh yeah, there's, okay.
We're gonna do streets first?
Yes.
So it might be labeled municipal gas tax on your tab.
Last tab.
Way back there. Good call.
So,
I'll be the microphone guy.
you're the middleman, huh? So, streets has 16 FTEs, and I believe they're asking for capital outlay.
Those positions all full? 16?
Almost. Yeah, we're getting real close. We're at 13 people right now, I believe. So we have 3 more people, so.
3 more.
To fill it up, yes, sir.
And that CDL course, the college that helped out,
Yes, sir. I have gotten 2 more CDL drivers. Both guys that we sent have passed. The other guy just came
Great.
back and he passed as well.
Do we have anybody in the program right now?
It just ended.
Oh, it just ended?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've seen them over there driving.
That's great.
Ron, I had asked you about street plan. What's the status?
Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, we reached out to one of our on-call engineers on conducting a street and drainage plan for the village. We're looking anywhere from $250,000 to $300,000 just to prepare a plan for us.
Okay.
And that,
Historically, we had a long-term street plan. Was that done internally, or was it always done
I believe that was done internally. I think JR and his group, they had, and Fred, they had they had a list of streets, and they just, on an Excel spreadsheet, and they just went and had them surveyed. We did have it was a street development plan that was done by Bohannon Houston a few years ago, and that was just to make, that we did as part of a comprehensive plan.
So, Josh, not to put you on the spot, but as I've shared with Ron and Judy, you know, during the last campaign, the streets was a major issue with everybody.
Yes, sir.
So just trying to understand how you prioritize like pothole repairs. First of all, how do you scout around? How do you know where they are?
Yes, sir. We do some scouting around, and then a lot of people, we get a lot of phone calls in certain areas. And when we have a chance, which we're getting a lot closer, you know, to being able to break people off of our big jobs to actually be able to do that. It's not an excuse, but I know in the past we were pretty short-handed in being able to finish our MAP and co-op
Well,
projects.
It's not an excuse, it's a reality, and that begs the question, is the issue personnel? Is it materials?
It was
or
personnel,
all of the
yes,
above?
sir.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what you pay. We've had 3 payroll bumps, marketing outside the box, and you can't get people to go to work. And then that's why we're doing the CDL training with the college, so that he can have people to run. And then we have the adoptive pothole program that people go online and.
We do have a customer complaint form online also that they send in to the street department, and it goes on their daily work orders.
And Mayor and Council, just as a quick aside, to help assist, I know Ron just referenced the comp plan. We talked about the comp plan yesterday. In planning and zoning, when you see that piece, you'll see a hefty amount set aside for the comp plan, which will also high-level request some funds for some intermittent planning components that we're going to be looking at. So you're looking at an infrastructure plan, you're looking at a master plan, high level. We're obviously going to need a lot more money for those in-depth plans, but these will kind of cover them at that high level to have in place, so that when they do go to doing their maps or doing anything else, we'll have that ready to go to follow that strategic planning strategy that you all put into effect. That was make sure we're ready to go for shovel readiness. So we are covering it, but as Ron mentioned, the full plan would be close to 350,000. We're hoping to cover a portion of that in the comp plan as well.
Yeah, I for one would prefer to take that 350,000 and hire more people and get more.
Jesus, if that'd work, hire them, because we ain't been able to get anybody.
That's what we were just saying, that
Yeah.
probably this is the closest he's been to full staff, probably within the last 5 years. Sometimes he was working with like
Yeah,
6 or 5
And you can't just raise
people.
this group, you have to raise village-wide.
Everybody.
And that's where we get into trouble, because we're already at that point that we have to generate revenue. That's why the discussion, all of this is whatever mute unless we do the water rate study and start taking action on that.
So, as I told Ron and Judy both, you know, ending the campaign and hearing all the complaints, and, you know, I know in my own neighborhood, I mean, there's potholes every block. All of that said, I was surprised because the budget actually dropped for the street department from last year to this coming year. And am I reading that wrong, Judy?
What, Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, one of the things that we did raise some of the stuff in the budget. Go ahead.
So you got to remember that when you're looking at a current year budget, he has his current year co-ops and his map in. So there's some revenues that are up there that also increase expenditures, but if you look at just his operating budget, he hasn't changed a lot of information. The increase and why it looks so
bad, I guess I should say, is because you're looking at a budget that's inflated with co-op projects that we haven't rolled over into 25 and we won't roll over until July. So if you look at his true operating, which is the exception of all the accounts except for the 53 series, he's pretty much on point with all his expenditures.
And Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, we have been aggressive in applying for the TPF funds to the Department of Transportation. The first year, we received $3.5 million, and then following that, we received about 1.5, where we brought in Cutler. And this year, we've submitted two grants for $2 million each, and then we did a design project. So we're hoping to be funded. I mean, it's all competitive based on the grant funding, but if we can get some of those funding, we have some dedicated streets already that we want to hit with the Cutler process.
So, Josh, as I presume you've got some overlay projects that are pending?
Yes, sir. Right now, actually, one of them that we just started this morning and got going on, it is our MAP project for this fiscal year. That is in there, and then we do also have our co-op project that's in there, and we have put in for the following year as well for our MAP and co-op projects that are pending.
One of the Councilor Corey, one of the things that Josh is also doing this year is, reading the fine print in our MAP and co-op project grants, is it says, and other roads in there.
Yes, sir.
So instead of, like on Sutter, for instance, when we did our co-op project, we just did the little side roads, right? So, for instance, West White Mountain. Josh is actually trying to expand that. He's doing West White Mountain, Mustang, Bonanza, and Travelers, and then trying to expand it to the roads up above also to use some of that money. That's why there's a little bit of a raise in the operating budget for our match.
So when our citizens are complaining about the streets in their neighborhood, what should they do?
They should call in to the office, and we do have a record book with work orders on it. And that record book, as they come in, if we have a slower day to where we're not paving, or not necessarily slower day, but we will send people out to that area to assess, and they'll take hot mix with them or cold mix and patch that area as they're going through it and seeing. And it's not, and I've talked with all of my guys, if you're in this area and you're driving out, just because this one wasn't called in, patch it while you're right there. If you see it and you're on this road, go ahead and patch it as you're coming out of that area. There is, there's instances like we're doing right now, patching up here, and people are calling in, my road's bad. What are you gonna do about it? And you go assess it, and the road's not as bad as what they're making out to be, and it kind of gets put down on the priority list a little bit as to where, our bad roads are in that area and the spots that really need to be fixed.
So, Josh,
Yes,
how
sir.
long have you been with the village?
I will be going on 16 years now.
Okay. Given that breadth of experience, what's your feeling about the overall condition of our streets? Are we keeping pace? Are we falling behind?
Honestly, with the last 5 years with the personnel that we have fallen behind. But the personnel I have now they're all eager and ready to work. And we've got a good group going. So, it's, hey, this is what we're doing today, let's go get it. And it's like, okay, and they're gone, and they're on it,
And
so.
please understand, I'm not casting aspersions. I'm just.
Right.
Just trying to get a sense of where we're at, where we're headed.
Yes, sir. And that's the thing with these guys now is that I was saying that I really do like with them, is they're eager. It's, hey, we need to go up here, we need to get this. We've got several other things right there in that area, and they're doing really good. They are, several of them, most of them are fairly new to this operation, but they're very eager to learn, and they want to learn, and constantly asking, hey, can I do this? Can I get on this? I want to learn this. I want to learn how to do this, so, I
Mr.
do
Mayor, if I
believe.
may, not to belabor the point, but we do live in a climatized area. It does not, or it does facilitate potholes
Absolutely.
between the water getting in, freezing, the blades coming by for snow removal.
Salt.
It's gonna be different here than it is gonna be in Alamogordo or Roswell. Sure.
And I can tell you this, that anytime I've called, or somebody will call me and I'll say, what's your address? And I'll call, within a couple of days, it's done.
Well, and I'm getting a better understanding of needing to call and, you know, so.
You know, and-
What's your phone number?
What's your phone number, Adam?
Lisa is really good. She writes it down and it gets done.
But
And Mayor-
people forget in this village, the same people that can't find help to do their job, they can't find a lawn guy.
Yeah.
They're calling me, I can't find anybody to rake my pine needles, clean this out, because nobody wants to work. But we expect the village to be at full capacity to take care of it. And there's
Yeah.
just some of these things, our guys have been working, you should see the overtime rate and how many hours these guys work on the water, and then they drop everything, we have a water leak, then they get back out and finish. And then I do know that we get it all the time on the, just texting whatever about potholes here and there, and I call them in, and these guys get over there and knock them out. Then you'll go to a street that nobody's even complained on, it looks like the surface of the moon. And so we want to get over there and fix those as fast as possible.
Tell me one more time, Cream Meadows, Meacham, all the way to Sudworth.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's, okay,
And that's where they're at today. They've started that.
okay.
And Innsbrook after that.
Innsbrook, yep.
And Mayor Crawford, members of the council, just are, when we apply for these grants and we have contractors come in, we have a small window with the weather.
Yeah.
So we have to schedule it, and then a few years back, we had rain started the day we started our project in June.
I remember that.
Until the fall, we had rain every day when we're trying to get this work done, so.
Is that what you're talking about, Mary and Chavez? And
Oh, man.
That was the Paradise and Gavilan, but that was after the
We had to
fires. Yeah.
redo a lot of Paradise because it got wet and sunk.
Yes.
And Mayor and Council, just one other follow-up, two actually. I think the question was, where are we going? I think Adam and Josh have been extremely aggressive, as Ron mentioned, on our applications through SERPTO. I think that Adam's commitment on SERPTO and where we're going to be moving forward here in the next year, I think is going to be very aggressive. I think we'll be getting more grants, at least the 4 million that we submitted for. And I think through a planning component, we'll qualify for more, which will come out of your long-term planning if it gets recommended and approved later. But the second piece I would add is, I know they're out in the field a lot. If you see something or you have any questions, please give me a call or Ron. I know we're out and about. We'll go take a look at it and we'll make sure these guys get it because I know they're running around and they're trying to get things done. And so we would like to help as much as we can too, so.
Well, it sounds like progress is being made. Mayor, I would suggest at some point in the newsletter, we say something about.
Okay, we certainly can. Yeah.
And Mayor Crawford, members of the council also, we're very fortunate to receive the co-op and MAP, and that comes out of the District 2 out of Roswell. But when we apply for other grants, we have to have a contractor come in because these guys here are in trying to get those projects done, we need to bring another contractor in, and that way that helps with some of these roadways, helps Josh and his crew.
Yeah, we had to secure Mountain States contracting, last year to get them to be here this year. And then we used, what was the other company's name?
Cutler.
Yep. We had them here for about a year and then they've moved on. And that's the big deal all across New Mexico that we deal with. They can't get them. And so we try to keep them here as long as we can.
Keep them there. And if I recall,
Thanks for putting up with me.
If I recall on my campaign trail, over 50% of the complainers of potholes lived out in the county. So, remember that one lady at K-Bob's? What are you gonna do? Eagle Creek, Eagle Creek Road. I mean, oh, you're in the county, and she just threw her hands up. I thought she was gonna throw her bread at me. But anyway, but no, you guys are doing good, and the underline here, Josh, is go pave White Mountain Meadows. You
Well,
guys,
there's 90% complaining.
Oh, boy.
That's actually part of the grant funding that we've submitted for, is White Mountain Meadows.
And Mr. Mayor, Josh, just for clarification, how many miles of road are you responsible for in this village?
Over 300.
300 miles.
Yes, sir.
And that has to be brought into perspective. And then the other one is, how many other communities have a hot fill that are able to even get?
None.
None.
We're the only one.
We're the only entity in New Mexico that has their own hot plant and able to do what we do.
Well, I mean, I just think that people are unaware. I mean, they think about my street and they don't forget, it's, yeah, yours in accord with 280 other miles and a hot fill plant that no one else has.
But we've discussed that ad nauseum at times,
Doesn't matter.
and people, they don't care. I just want my street fixed, so we just have to get it fixed.
And Josh has a capital outlay for rewiring the treatment, the hot mix plant that's critical, so we want to make sure.
And we're trying to move those, well, why don't you talk about your capital outlay?
Okay.
Because we're gonna, I was talking about trying to move some of the stuff to the current year so that we can get it done. On the 53 series.
Next page.
Is that page 77?
So with that, Mayor, Council, we do have, an older setup, at where we are at. With our capital outlay, we're looking to redo our sewer line, and that's gonna have to come from within the building and out and run all the way down the hill to meet in with the new sewer that Adam just installed at his place. We had put in 20,000 for that, cause we're gonna have to pull the floor up, drill the floor out, cause it was all laid in concrete. And to run it outside of the building, and then the ditch, and the pipe and everything to get down to where we need to meet into with Adam and his sewer down there.
We're not leaching it, are we?
No,
Actually, when the flood came through and it took out the bridge, Jerry actually still had his septic tank. That is his place.
Got it.
And he is now tied into the sewer. But
I was
like
really
Josh said,
teasing.
the sewer line's older. It actually drops off the base of the hill there, and then the underneath the concrete is
Got it.
also bad.
And then I do have in here for the electrical plant panels at the hot plant. That's something that, if we want to keep this hot plant going, it is gonna have to be fixed. It's getting older. It's all the original panels in there. So the hot plant is a 1968 with all the original instrumentation in it and wiring.
That's a good year.
Yeah.
My original stuff.
So does that controls too, or is it just the electrical wiring and?
That is the main control panel. It's if you walk into our control room and look into the back of it, we have 680 coming into the back of the plant, which has gone into a control panel for all our circuits and breakers and different things in there. Earlier in the year, we went to fire up and just hit the start button, and one of the panels, boom, and it blew the panel out. We're lucky on that one. It just happened to be one of the big breakers that were in there that blew out of it in LeMay. And then I had our hot plant technician come down as well and replace the big breaker that's in there. And it was at that point in time that the hot plant technician really started, man, you need to really, this is all original stuff, you need to really start looking into replacing the panel back here.
Mr. Mayor, Josh, I think, I remember that discussion, and the other was, and I'm still not too clear on it, how is your service from the pole to the building, and then from the building in? You've already described, but is that service to the building still adequate?
Yes. The service coming from the pole, we're actually on a totally different pole than our building itself. And when Fred was still here, we actually dug that up and had P&M run a whole new line, whole new service, and put off a shut-off breaker adequate for that on the outside of the building as well.
Right.
So that's back there, and it stays locked, but if anything's to happen, we can go behind the
Emergency
building
disconnect.
and shut off all the power to the hot plant. As well with that, we have talked with Zia Natural Gas too, and our line is where we're at. We are the last ones on that line. So if anything was to ever happen, we've talked with them, and they gave us permission as well as to go out and actually shut off the feed to,
Gas coming in.
yes.
Thank you.
So on the rest of it, that's about $1 million rig at that 1968 to replace it, and that what y'all told us?
Bare minimum, we were to replace that, and from my knowledge and what I've heard is we wouldn't be able to. The permit, and if anything was to happen with that, there would be no replacing it.
So the rest of the unit, besides, the hydraulics, the gears and all that, you've worked on those over the time period? What's the rest of it like?
It's getting there, but we have budgeted before in the past. Like the bins that feed it, I've actually gone in and re-sleeved all the bins, put new metal inside of the existing bins that are there. If we were to replace for, say, a little at a time, we could probably do it. If we had to replace the bins, we could get something in to replace the bins, but as a whole, if anything was to happen to the hot plant, we wouldn't be able to replace it.
So, but what I'm getting at is if you're gonna have downtime for the 50 grand in replacement, is there other things we should be doing to it?
Oh, yes, sir.
And that you need to request money for now?
And it's, Mr. Mayor, it's actually in his operating budget in here.
Okay.
So we raised up the hot plant maintenance budget for the new bearings and new
From
belts.
25 to 50 for new belts and stuff that we need to get.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Where was that at?
That is on page.
That's on plant maintenance,
Yes,
motor
sir.
belts,
Oh, got it.
parts on, okay, it didn't say, the 50,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I didn't know that was for the plant, the hot.
The hot mix.
Yes, sir. On that, Mr. Mayor, we have always had kind of our own little budget out there for it. And generally, we ask from 20 to 25 to keep it operating, but we did ask for additional 25 to bring it up to 50,000 for the operation.
And Josh and Adam, if you're working on two grant projects and the hot mix plant goes out, you're gonna have to order the hot mix from
Mesa Verde.
Mesa Verde, and it's not gonna be cheap at their cost, so.
Yes, so I think while we're down, gonna do a lot more to it.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next,
We're still,
Gonna have to replace the roof,
Central Alley, right?
what?
the roof, the Loader Bay roof.
And with still in the capital outlay, the roof over the loader bay, that thing's almost completely rusted out. It's been there for a while, so we want to do,
How big is it?
I think it's a 20 by 60. something like that?
Probably 20 by 40. And at that point in time, when we do that, we're probably actually gonna connect across from where the loader bay is to the shop at that point in time, so all of that is covered in that area.
That'd be nice.
And moving down into the equipment and vehicles, you know, we are asking for another dump truck.
This says 2 dump trucks.
It says two,
It says 2, but only one's in the budget.
Got it?
budgeted for one and plus the mechanics truck as well.
Okay. And we've got the mechanic truck in the budget?
We've got one mechanic truck that's what, a year old, 2 years old?
We don't. no.
Oh, that's Jerry.
That's
I'm
Jerry,
sorry.
yes.
Sorry about that.
Different department.
Yeah, and it's a big asset.
And it will be a big asset to us, you know, for right now, he's just running a 3/4 ton pickup and trying to get all the tools and the fuel and everything in that truck. So he's running around with all of that.
What is the 2024 2 proposed? Is,
That's the 2 proposed dump trucks.
My budget drops are numbered. 1 is department request, 2 is proposed, and 3 is adopted. So when you see 2 proposed, this is saying that we're printing the detail from the proposed budget.
okay, so it's off like 360,000.
Right, because he asked for 2 dump trucks and only 1 is in the proposed budget.
Okay. But will he end up with 2?
Only if you guys say give him 2.
And we find the money.
Yeah, we'll find the money.
And Isaac doesn't come up here with a bigger, worse problem. So, but you're looking at the 360 and 70 to fill the other 2 trucks.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And Josh, that'll be with the plows and the salt?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
All of our equipment that we've been ordering anymore, even our pickup trucks that we're ordering for the guys are coming with a plow setup, and then we're ordering, it's for the pickup trucks, it's 2/3 of a yard salter that we're putting in the back of the pickup trucks.
Does that salt, I was behind one of them one day, and I know, does it eat out the truck? Do you have to be very careful with how you have to
Every
watch?
time it snows or we get ice or get called out, when our trucks go out, as soon as it gets nice again, them trucks are being completely washed.
Yeah, I just thought then, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what a mess.
It is hard
Yeah.
on them, yes, ma'am. Just go through start back at the beginning.
But it wasn't that many years ago, you still didn't have floorboards, so.
No,
We've made it.
we've
You've
come a
made a
long
long
way.
way, baby.
Leaps and bounds, that is for sure. and,
It's nicer when you can start them too.
Thank you all very much for that, you know, it is appreciated.
The only issue they're having is it's a little bit harder to stop now.
Oh, yeah.
Can't stick
Fred,
your
yeah,
foot down.
Fred Flintstone.
Flintstone
And it's
doesn't-
nice when you don't have to drive in first, Granny first. then.
Yes,
Shows up
sir.
with a lot of pictures, we gotta worry.
If we kind of started at the back of it on this. If we move back up to the front, most of our budget, like we're saying, is gonna remain the same. We do have a few changes. In our non-cap furniture fixing equipment, we put in for 2,000 this year. What we're looking for is, we're trying to get a new refrigerator for the break room, and then a smaller color printer. So we have one now, that we try to use most of, that way we're not getting charged for all our color printing through the contract that we have. 'Cause we're only allowed, I think it was 150 color before they start charging us, or 150 or 200 color prints. And then they start charging us a lot more
What
for it.
page is this on?
I know, I can't.
75, starting
I'm on
back.
there, I just hadn't found it.
It's at the very top, the janitorial supplies, and then non-cap furniture is,
Josh, what company using on the copier?
it's,
I believe it's Rico.
It's
Is
not
that who we're on?
We have, most of them are on Conica, is it?
I think that's,
I forgot, what's his name?
Frierson?
Frierson, yeah.
yeah.
Is it Frierson?
Him, okay.
We're on the same one, but
But it's only 150 color copies?
Man, that's
No, I think it's
Yeah.
Steve, 1,500.
Steve Frierson.
not on
1,500?
ours. Not
We
on
need to
ours.
look at that contract.
Well, we need to visit with Frierson,
Yeah, that's,
Steve on that to find out what's going on there, because he's been very helpful.
And, it's one of the things, with print and documents and stuff, that, we get there really quick. But like I said, we do have.
So what do you use them for?
Our one that we have with Frierson,
Yeah, the color copies, what are you copying that you need?
say if we do, official letterhead, a map, or anything in color, then we're getting charged for it, and it adds up pretty quick with Lisa having her stuff that she knew. We try to do most everything in black and white, but like if it's a letterhead for the Village of Rios, or if it's
Yeah.
something that we have to print off that has color in it, then they add up pretty quick. We have taken, all the other employees, because with our computers, it's hooked to it, and we've taken all of them off of the color unless it needs to be, to try and save those.
And where are you mailing all this stuff? I'm confused.
Well,
It's
Not-
not so much mailing, it's just.
mailing is, go ahead. Say, the other day, had to write somebody up, anything that comes with the village logo and any of that has the color on it, that we have to give to somebody to bring up here, or papers we bring up here. Then maps for ourselves that I give the guys to go out. And anything that even has just the slightest bit of color in it, it's charging us for a color copy on that.
Outrageous.
need to look at your history and adjust the lease.
Yeah,
oh, yes, we'll do that.
I don't know why it's so few, it doesn't.
No, that's not.
That should be easy enough to fix.
Okay.
Well, it means don't bring us colored copies of missing floorboards.
Then I get, that's not the original.
That you're gonna say, come just print out Village Hall.
Right.
Because a color printer for $500, I don't know, you're not gonna get much of a printer.
It's just.
Well, all it is just a little small one, so if the guys are printing off their pay stubs or whatever they need to do, if there's any color on it, that it,
Oh, just the black and white.
right, and then, they can have the color copy and we not get charged for it, because we've always had another one.
Yeah, but you
in.
know what color toner and everything is? I can,
Yeah, the printers are cheap.
it's,
now.
yeah,
It's the toner.
it's they eat you alive on that stuff.
They could give you the.
But we'll get with Frierson and find out why, because I've got Frierson out of my office and we print tons of stuff and it's,
Yeah, that's not, we don't
I
want
pay a monthly bill like $300, $287.
Okay.
to, we don't
Yeah,
need
I
to be
print
worrying
out a
about
ton.
printing color
Yeah.
colored copies during their day. It's just, that's too much, so we'll stop.
We'll figure that out, see if we can help.
Okay.
And when you're talking about a refrigerator, you're talking about a full size?
Yes, sir.
I think the one that's in there, Josh actually brought from his house.
The other one stopped and my wife was, we're getting a new fridge because it sounds like somebody's knocking on the door when it turns on.
That isn't a good sign.
It's been working like that for the last 2 years. It's been holding out for us, but I think Lisa's getting tired of it because it sits right next to her office.
It's
and every
not
time
knocking.
It kicks on,
It's not knocking, it's banging.
Yeah.
How's their hearing?
And moving down, we did it to in the shop tools, just down in our description for our safety, we added for that, we're gonna try and get everybody 2 sets of boots a year, cause with the asphalt, diesel, salt, it eats our boots up pretty good.
Bet it does.
Where do you get your boots?
Brand outlet.
Yeah, the
Branded outlet?
They're parts unknown, I'm sorry.
Parts Unknown or Boots and Jeans, yes, sir, the only 2 places that we have on there.
For the steel-toed and,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, those are great boots.
and where's that in your budget?
That is on page 75. If you look at shop tools,
PP&E, safety boots, safety jackets.
yes, sir.
Okay.
And then right below that in our bulk inventory, our street materials, which we talked about earlier, is bringing it up to 400,000. So we are in these other areas, we can go ahead.
You got the material.
We have the material and we can work outside of those areas as well while we're there.
Okay, and can we go back up to utilities, Otero? What do we have with Otero?
It's electric.
Cause you got P&E on.
But they're on P&M, I'm trying to think where their electric.
Otero, the only place I could think Otero would be, it would be the north end of town at, Alto Lakes. the
Well, we have it
wells,
at, the wastewater treatment plant,
And then,
but this is your department.
Why would you be paying for it?
So that's what I'm curious is where does that go to?
we'll have to, what's that?
'Cause I don't recall seeing that before.
That's something, I mean, I haven't seen that before. I know the P&M, we do the light bills for the street lights and then,
That's included in your budget?
yes.
Wait a minute.
Not in just utilities? It's in the
Well,
streets
it's in the
department?
utilities, but it's under our budget, yes, sir. It's right
Under
under the
streets?
Otero for 169.
Maybe that's why Otero's shoved in there.
We got 1 or 2 somewhere. Okay.
So what, okay, so tell me on the street, so what are we paying for on that 169,000?
Electric bill.
Street lights.
Street lights and
For all the
Street
street
lights,
lights.
during,
Got it.
during the fall, winter, you know, all the lights.
And
at
P&M,
Parks and
though,
Rec
is
puts
changing the
up.
bulbs.
Yes,
Yes.
if you let them know.
If you let them
Got-
know, if not, we have to get one of our electricians, like for
Yeah.
the stop lights and stuff like that also.
See, Tom used to go, we'd take a drive at night.
And so on Highway 70, part of Ruidoso on Highway 70, all the way up to, I believe, Starbucks, or somewhere right in there, we actually maintain all of that. We call him he puts in the street poles, the street lights, if anything's broken. And then from that point all the way down Meacham, P&M, it's all P&Ms.
All the new ones that we bought are ours.
Right.
And a way to do that is have the police department, you task them, the guys, when they're on graveyards, go out there and they can put yellow caution tape on it. And then when you guys go back out during the day, you know which ones need to be replaced.
That's really important because we're paying for that. So we need to have those lights working.
And that's what we've done in the past, and then trying to reach out to a representative from P&M to make sure they change the bulbs out, because that's their responsibility on those poles. What about the signal lights? Is that part of your bill also for all the signal lights?
I don't think the signal lights are, we just do the maintenance. on
Okay, the state's not, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and then we did safety boots, street materials, for the aggregate for paving. And that's something on the next page, on page 76, with the street light maintenance, that we do have the 20,000. We put it in for 20,000, just because we do have the lights to maintain. You know, we have 70 and all the way up, and any of the poles or any of that, that goes out. It's, never know what's gonna happen with them. Some years you have one or two poles that are hit. And this year, I think we've already had about 10 of them hit. They keep calling and they're like, oh, come get this pole, come get this pole. And it's like, holy cow, it's gonna depend on the year on that. We're asking for 20 just to make sure that we can maintain and keep up with it. Some years it won't be that, just depending on the year and how everything goes. And the new Cobra headlights that go in for that, they were.
The LEDs.
The LEDs, last time we bought some just to start replacing it, it was almost the $20,000 in itself. The last time that we had bought them to go through and start replacing the lights. So, we still do have a few extra from that. So we do have the head replaced, have a few extra head replacements.
For which lights? Not the ones in Midtown, which ones?
No, it's in here, once you get past Midtown, it's the silver coming down Highway 70, all the big silver poles.
Those are our lights?
Yes.
Copper Mountain.
From Foxworth and Galbraith, all the way out to where they stop heading west are all our street lights as well.
Okay. Back up to your culverts, does that, we always get calls for them that are clogged up and we clean them.
Yes, sir.
How do you get them unstopped?
On that, sir, we take the water truck or we'll get with Adam and get the router, their sewer router, and just pressure them out and clean them out. If it's to the point where we can't get it, then we'll cut it out and replace them.
Okay.
Josh, Mr. Mayor, Josh, do you think that needs to be increased, given the fact that you've got several poles down already and we don't know the character of the lights or the lamps themselves? Should it be higher than 20,000?
What's that? I don't.
It looks like, on the streetlight maintenance, it looks like if you look at his year-to-date activity, he's never been over 10,000.
No, I was just asking because he said he had 5 or 6
Right.
poles down and lamps down, and he said the last
Yes,
time.
and we have those poles right now, at the shop.
Oh, I see.
So what we're gonna have to do is, make
Replace.
sure that we replace those and have everything in stock. So if it happens
Yeah.
again,
And this is on Highway 70?
yes, sir.
Where
Still-
are they? I don't know that I've seen them.
I thought,
Anytime, if you're coming from Alamogordo and as soon as the highway lights up, those are all of our.
No, but the ones that are knocked down.
There was 2 in front of K-Bob's that got knocked down, 1 in front of Bell's that got knocked down recently.
and
Yeah.
P&M's not? Because why are they doing on Sudworth and Meacham though? When we have there by Starbucks, that one gets hit like every other month, that one gets hit and they're replacing that. Why wouldn't they not replace the others?
Because from there, all the way down Meacham is P&M. And
Okay.
since the 16 years that I've been here, we own those lights. When I first started, we had to walk up and down the highway and we numbered every one of those light poles. And
Okay.
then numbered them all the way in until where,
Wow,
the lights for Midtown start at the time were the wood ones.
and I wasn't aware.
So any of the metal poles, they are numbered so that we know which pole is hit and where it goes.
So you say the one by Starbucks, but that's somebody else's. So which?
That's P&M's. That's,
So
right
which?
in that area is where it switches from P&M to
But
where
I'm just
we
trying
own.
to find the ones that have been hit.
In front of Bell's, that's out on Highway
Those
70.
2, 3 right there.
Right in front of Allsup's on 70 when you come through.
Those are the
light.
breakaways.
Yes,
So the foundation's good. You just have to bolt the new one on top.
yes.
Okay. And you have how many of those in stock?
We have 4 of them right now. And we still do have 3 that we gotta get with LeMay to have them put up.
Oh, he does those?
Yes.
Ricky does?
Okay.
Okay.
And for as far as I know, with that, what he was waiting on, he did not have in stock any of, because the wire breaks away too, there's a breakaway connection, so when they're hit, it pops that connection off. And he did not have any of those in stock, so he was ordering them to get them in so that we can connect.
So how often do we, the people that take those out, are they still there? Is that something the police department?
Police handles that.
And then we file on their insurance?
And depending, if
Yeah.
they're there when it happens, a lot of them they do, they'll call me, well, how much does this street light cost? What does the pole cost? And we go through and we give them the amount of what that is. Once it goes to the police department and up here,
So are you familiar with any revenue we've generated off of that? Okay.
Mayor, council, just on, there on Meacham, we've had a few that were hit, one by the radio station, one by
Yeah.
Starbucks, and usually the insurance company, whoever hit it, will contact us and we'll send them a bill on restitution on that, because T-Bone had that bench hit like 3
Yep.
times right there by Starbucks, so got a cost and they paid us for it, so,
So we did receive the money?
yes.
Okay.
But we need to keep P and M on task because when Texas, New Mexico, that's where the contract was for, was Texas, New Mexico. When P and M bought out Texas, New Mexico, they said, we don't do lights. We don't service lights. And so the bosses said, no, we need to keep our contract. So we want to be sure that we keep them going as far as changing those lights so that we don't have to do that.
I know as far as up here.
Yes.
They do. When we call them, if I've ever had to call them, as far as from Starbucks and on Meacham, anywhere, they do. They'll come pick up the pole, they'll come get it and put a new pole up, but
I'm
I
talking about
wasn't
changing the lights.
Bulbs.
The
The bulbs
bulbs.
themselves.
the bulbs.
Because, I
Yes.
mean, you
Over.
can go down any time and the lights are out. So we just need to we need to,
That's one of the benefits going to bed early. I don't have to see that.
well,
Too
and I
busy
don't
counting
understand
potholes.
why the police can't do that.
Well, they can.
We should, and
Because
we
they're
have
the ones
discussed that
that are
before.
out.
Yes.
So we'll make a note, talk to the chief again about.
Just
in
put
DC.
the
Yeah,
caution
tape on it.
around them, and that way they know exactly.
Yeah.
Change the bulb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll make sure we reiterate that, because we've had that discussion before.
Thanks, guys.
Isaac, are you awake over there, man?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see you drowsing off over there.
We're doing our 12-hour shifts and I'm kind of,
Oh, are you?
under the weather
Are you under the weather?
a little bit.
We'll keep you over there. I've been the healthiest I've been in 6 months. I don't want to.
Should all take that.
Yes.
Okay, what else do you guys got? Smoke school. I bet you quit that.
Smoke school.
Josh.
Fuel tank.
Did you?
Oh, no.
Oh, I thought you were.
I'm working on it.
Okay, we'll keep working on
Every
it.
day.
He works on it every day.
The smoke school, we do have the 5,000 in there. That's, we have to go twice a year. For, according to EPA regulations, there's, Ryan and I go in February and August, and then, one of the guys that we lost, but we're working on replacing. I've got a couple of guys that are really picking the hot plan up, want to learn it. Matter of fact, one of them's running it right now. But we'll have to send them, and that one will be in El Paso. Ryan and I go to Albuquerque. The El Paso one is, I want to say March. It's 2 separate dates, fairly close to each other within that 6 month.
And that's enough for all their incidentals and the training and the hotel and all that?
Oh, yeah, that is just to pay for the school itself.
Okay. And so where does the money for travel and everything come out of?
We put that,
That was in travel in schools.
Is, okay,
Yeah, and it is right there for, the smoke school is in that, in the travel.
Well, that's what it says, it says travel in schools.
Right.
So that 5,000, that's what I'm asking, that's enough for all the travel, the school and everything? 'Cause it says travel in schools.
That's for your hotels and for everything.
So that should probably, I mean, that's what we've, always ran between that and, you know, between 5,000 and 5,500. I'm just looking in the past is
Okay.
what we've ran with that, but if I could bring it up, I would like to a little bit, just to make sure that we have it in there with, the prices of everything going up and everything, to make sure that we have that covered. If not, we could, we can make it work.
You'll just have to take a sack lunch, Josh.
And their bicycles.
I'm used to that when you're running the hot plant. If you don't take a sack lunch, you don't get a lunch.
Yeah, I have a favor to ask. On Meacham, across the street from Lowe's, there is a sign that I think was left when they did the paving, and it's upside down, and the legs are all sticking out, and the sign, whatever it says, I don't know, stop or whatever, is laying down there. That's been there for 3 or 4 years, and I pick up that area, and can we do something with that?
We'll go over there and grab it. We need all the signs we can use.
I would love that.
If it's not ours and it's been laying there that long, we'll go get
It's
it
been
for
there
sure.
a long time. Thank you.
And also, there's a sign by, what's the food truck court called?
Trucks.
Right there, if you look at that sign, one of the bottom legs, the bolt's gone, and it's just standing on one. So it needs to be bolted back down.
Okay. Yeah.
I put some wire on it, but it busted it real easy, so that wind pretty rough on it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Little stuff like that, and if there is any of the street signs that are down, if you'll let me know, I can get a hold to the state, because almost all the signs running down up Meacham is the state's.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but little stuff like that, we can go throw a bolt
Yeah,
in it.
throw a
It's
bolt
not-
in it.
It's not a big deal. If they start
Well,
getting
that
knocked down or
one,
missing,
across the street from Lowe's needs to be taken out.
taken, okay. Is there any further questions on it?
You don't have a contingency fund?
I don't believe so.
He does, he just doesn't know about it.
There's that second.
Good old Judy.
Good job, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very
Josh.
much.
Josh?
For all you do.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Thank you, guys. Airport next, or what?
We were doing the wastewater.
So airport is currently budgeted for 8 full-time FTEs and 1 part-time. And it starts on, the revenues on page 111. And something that's in the current year budget for '24 is the big grant for your runway and your taxiway. I don't know what the numbers are. But we just finished those, so they won't be rolled over. And he is currently starting that new taxiway A, I believe. That grant won't also be in this budget until I do the rollover in July, once I know what the ending numbers are. So With that, if you want to start on your expenses. Wherever you want to start. You can start on page 113. Just go down and talk about your increases.
Okay, my budget is pretty much stayed the same, just a few increases. We got fuel, jet fuel, avgas, which is 100 low lead, equipment rentals, and then equipment vehicles. So on my fuels, in the 23-24 fuel budget for motor vehicle and diesel fuel was $15,500. I'm asking for a $500 increase to 20,000 to cover inflation cost of fuels.
Okay, that helped. I was still lost over here.
I was on revenues and wondering why there's some blanks on some of those revenues, and he's saying some numbers and.
Okay. Fuels,
Towards the bottom, kind of, is where he's at, it's account number 51030. It's after the utilities,
Oh, yeah.
right there, that's where
oh, I see.
My apologies.
he's at.
So the next one is jet fuel. For year 23-24, we were budgeted 610,000. To date, we've used 410,520. With our busy season about to start, I'm projecting spending another 125,000 on jet fuel between now and the end of the budget. So I'm asking for an increase of 190,000 to a budget of 800,000 for jet fuel.
And so when we did the pricing on the jet fuel, because we haven't messed with that, it's all been the low lead that we've tinkered with on pricing. So the jet fuel.
On our sales, yes, sir.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about, sales, right? 800,000 that you're buying it to sell it.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, so it's same animal. So the 800,000, what's our margin? Are we adding on the fuel?
On jet fuel, it's 2.25.
2.25 a gallon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that should be easy.
So a truck of fuel generally costs about 47,000 a load.
How many gallons is that, 7,500?
About 7,300.
7,300?
That's a lot of fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And during the summer, we do those about once a week.
And where are we getting it from? Still avgas and?
Have fuel, yes, sir.
Fuel.
So the next one is avgas, 100 low lead, and our 23-24 budget was 180,000. To date, we've spent 106,952. And again, with our busy season getting ready to kick off, and we're hoping for great fly-in. So I'm looking at spending another 38,000 to 76,000 on 100 low lead between now and the end of the budget year. So again, to cover cost of inflation, I'm looking for a $70,000 increase to $250,000.
Okay, so we're spending this, but then we're making money on it.
Yeah, it'll show up on
You
revenue.
go to
it
the
should.
revenue page up
Okay.
ahead. and-
Okay,
As long as we sell it and,
yeah.
And Mayor and
That's where
Council,
that margin comes in.
yes.
just a quick aside on our formula. We we obviously will never go to what we're paying, but we actually have seen either a level or a slight increase based on the formula. That's that one we worked out, and we're 5% below what the median average is across our 200-mile radius, so,
100 mile.
or 100 mile, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Special events, our next one. We haven't had anything in there, and I'm asking for 6,000 to help cover the fly-ins and stuff that we're wanting to try to start doing and stuff like that. Our
So how'd you base the $6,000? What do we, is this the second fly-in?
First, isn't it?
No, the first is already done.
The first one's covered.
The second one is coming up in,
September.
So, okay, now I know you've been working with Eddie. Do you think that's gonna do it? So what do we,
Hard to tell, you know, what I'm,
So Mayor and Council, one of the things that we're looking at on the $6,000 budget is just for your basic services when people are landing. We're also going to be going to lodger's tax for the
There you
bigger
go.
event, and that's where you're going to see the bigger budget come
and
in.
that's what I was
Yes, sir.
pushing for. This wasn't the total
No,
lunch tax.
this is more what he has to do, what airports, the staff and team is gonna end up doing on site. So if we need to do some small preparations, or if they need extra fuel, or if they need to do movements of, stages or things like that, that's where this is gonna come in.
Okay.
The bigger budget that you're gonna see for that fly-in is gonna go to lodger's tax.
Okay.
So what are we talking about a fly-in?
Well, we're having the pancake breakfast coming up
May
Yeah,
11th.
in
May 11th,
Yeah.
and we're already getting, and it's mainly for airplane people.
You're right.
And so we're getting a lot of traffic on that from the stuff that I've been getting from Facebook and whatnot. And then the other bigger one is they're trying to do it in conjunction with, are you gonna do a car show? Are we doing
that's the plan right now, is to do a fly-in car show.
car show? And
So
so he's got Eddie on it.
You have a whole bunch of planes flying in.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's
And
what
then you have cars. We get Twinkle Toes over here to bring a couple of his cars out there, shine them all up, and then you walk through, and then we have food, and then they fly in, look at the cars, you know, what was her name, Dean?
That was Denise.
Dean and her husband used to do.
We had that before, yeah.
They had about 3 of them.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be some other events that are gonna be built into that as well, Councilmember Letterman.
And then they just fly out.
Yeah, or they stay the
So
weekend.
it's just a fun little
Yeah,
deal.
it's, and then hopefully they'll book some hotel rooms and different things like that while we're here, stay the night, go
Yeah.
eat.
And
See
that's
the
gonna
town.
be generated towards the community as well. We'll be inviting everyone out on that one.
Yep, that one's for everybody.
Yes, sir.
And then I know Eddie's working with different ones on, you know, maybe some prizes and to try to get people to come into town and maybe look at a bus that we can rent to haul people in and out of town. A lost
The
bus?
lost bus.
Yeah, they may have left one here because that wasn't one running.
But you guys gonna supply the food for that, or you gonna thinking about maybe having a concession?
Food trucks.
Joe's a good cook.
He's volunteering.
He's always hankering that.
Yes.
that town
Trucks or
business
whoever
is
wants to flip
just
burgers.
Putting that, in he's gonna go something easier like food
He has a
sales.
great resume, so we'll all
Well,
back
I
him.
almost got in the restaurant business years ago, but I backed out. I'm glad I did.
So, on our revenue, do we ever receive our LAV and our RTU and all that stuff?
Yes, sir.
We do have those?
We got them 2 weeks ago.
Okay, well, we should have had a party for that because we've been trying to get those, but these are,
What kind of party would you
well,
want to have
just
for a
something to say,
lab?
hey, because now we got the,
Come on.
we've got the flex jets, whatever, that we can sign that RTU up to, is that what that's called?
GPU.
GPU, I knew there was
Come on,
something.
get your
get my acronyms right, but then we can start leasing those back out for your revenue. The lab services where we're dumping the toilets and all that, boom. And so we're already started that?
The GPU has been used 4 times since we got it, and the lav cart,
Nobody?
nobody's asked yet.
Have we, well, sales 101, you don't make them ask, you let them know it's available. Are we making that happen?
It is on our board.
Okay.
On the VerTower program, there is a board on there that's a services board.
Okay, when it flies in, it says we provide these.
So when they come up to the fuel desk, the services board shows them all of our services and everything.
Okay.
And we haven't had a lot of jet traffic
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
it's
last
coming.
couple of weeks, so we will be letting people know.
Yeah, it'll be coming
it's
pretty
available.
soon.
Just need to also post that on all those sites
Right.
for the,
Yep.
get all that on there.
So we can start running some money out of those, because we had grants for those.
Correct.
And so now we can start turning that to money.
And I know also we're looking at putting the fees back on the,
Jets.
only on jets on the tie downs. So that'll be something that we need to look at to put
Yeah,
in the
I was
budget.
looking at that there was nothing budgeted for tie downs or ramp fees, so.
For that'll be for the jets only, so.
Yes, sir, and the board had removed those or requested that those be removed
I
in general.
remember that, so.
We agreed for 6 months or something.
And we did see that significant decrease, and so as Ron mentioned, we'll see the jets coming back on tie downs and things like that. And we'll hopefully see that as an increase for revenues in that area.
So we're gonna reinstate it,
Only for jets.
only jets.
Not the airplanes, the regular ones.
Could we have, not explain it now, but maybe for the manager's report, you take a picture of the GPU, a brief deal of what it does so everybody knows what that service is, the lav cart, any little whiz-bang new things you got in, maybe put that in.
Sure.
Okay.
What is the, a lab?
Lab service, lavatory.
Lavatory, yes, lab.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like your RV, you pull that little plastic deal, you dump your, and then you gotta, or Tom drags it over and dumps it. This is just a bigger.
We're gonna put a sign on the side of it that says honey pot.
Yeah.
All flies are welcome.
Tom won't allow me to use the restroom.
Go outside, there you go there, there's a tree over there.
You got that nice commode and he won't let you use it.
Have hand.
Only part-time, if you get my drift.
Back on page 113, one that I missed here, on safety equipment. I did ask for an increase on that from 8,700 to 10,900. Since we have our ARF department with the airport now, then I'm gonna have to buy, I've already purchased boots for the guys that are there now, and we had one leave, so I got another guy coming in. So I'm gonna have to purchase his safety equipment, his boots, his turnout gear, gloves, stuff like that, once we get ready to send him to school for that. So I did increase, or
It
put an
looks
increase
like
in
your
that budget.
full-time salaries, you've got one down on, it looks like you're down around 70,000. Have you,
So you got to remember that the current budget had the firefighters, and they had 3 firefighters, and then we moved the firefighters back to the general fund, and then you had a supervisor, and I don't know how many
Line techs.
line techs, 4 line techs and himself. So that's why there's a little bit of difference in the salary section.
yeah, got it.
Let's see. So my flatline supplies, that's, that budget remained the same. That's for, marshalling wands, wheel chocks, things of that nature. Then my oil resale, I increased that, like $250. That's for our airplane oils that we sell.
I'm just glad we got that evaporation fixed on that fuel. Well, you weren't here, but that's what Justin King told us. Remember when we had all the fuel loss? He said it was evaporation.
Evaporated.
Oh, I think I read something on
No,
that.
and it did.
It was
It did
400
evaporate.
gallons.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Lot of evaporation.
Only a few years later, we fixed that problem.
That's a good one, though. You'll have to admit,
Oh,
evaporation.
my God, I couldn't believe it. Evaporation.
On my contractual services, it remained the same. Contractual legal fees. The travel in schools, I asked for an increase of $4,000, and that is to cover sending the guys to their ARF schools, their EMT schools, whatever conferences I go to. Training and development.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, Lee, now that our firefighters aren't out there, do you have to train on, like if an airplane comes in and catches on fire, do we have something to put out the fire?
Yes, ma'am. We have 2 fire trucks,
Okay,
so we are considered a Class A airport for our fire suppression.
okay.
So we have a 350-gallon fire truck, it's our Rescue One, and then we also have a 1,500-gallon truck that we can use as well.
So that's why when you get hired, you go to those schools to learn all that?
Correct. Right now, I've got 3 of the guys out there are ARF trained. I've got 1 EMT. I've got 1 working on his EMT, and then the other guys we got to go through their EMT, and
It's pretty sharp.
Okay, on your fuel sales on revenue side, if I'm reading it right, you're showing 840 proposed.
where am I at?
That's the one we're gonna have to go double check on the calculation, with the markups and stuff. I'm not sure that's
Because we're
right.
spending 800
Right, that's only 40,000.
and we're
Well,
profiting.
then, is the,
So depending,
16,000 for merchant fees, is that related to fuel sales?
Yeah, that's what Apfuel takes, right? For monitoring and charging.
So then it's cutting that margin.
yes. And so, Mayor and Council, depending on the actual inflation piece, that's why Lee budgeted that additional 70. Councilmember Corey is exactly correct. If we keep our current modeling with what was recommended by the board, we may see a drop in that margin. It may not be the same just because we had that flat standard. But we still have to evaluate. We're not sure whether whether the new price is going to increase or decrease significantly. We still could be we're still going to be on average for the 100-mile radius, and we're still going to be making money. It's just our margin may drop.
Yeah, it's not really classified as a loss leader, but we want to make it because we had 100 low lead out there that was higher than most everybody around, and it sat there.
Yes, sir.
So you're constantly having to keep that fuel moving so it doesn't go bad.
Or evaporate.
Yeah, or evaporate. That was the killer. I don't know how that's evaporating, but,
Smoking not allowed.
but on here, show me where I see our T-hanger rents and, sunshade rents, whatever. Are we still set up with the hangers that we bought to rent some of those this summer?
Yes, sir.
And where would that be? Under rents and royalties?
I see it on T-Hanger Rentals
Yeah, but-
Transients for 12,000, but that's the same question, the rents and royalties.
Well,
and,
and I'm talking about not T-hangers, I'm talking about a hanger.
just a hanger.
You know, the big ones, you know, that we purchased, because I know we booted out, that old Hawker, and that, Stevens is renting to him,
Correct.
Dave Stevens. And so we should have, you know, that's the main shop. That's where that Hawker was at. But, you know, we sometimes on weather days, you know, they pull them in and out. So what are we doing with our other hangers?
Right now, we've got, one of them has got a Cirrus in it. The one that's got the longer one that's on next, close to the taxiway. It's got a Cirrus in it that, my understanding was, whenever the village bought it, the gentleman that was renting from the gentleman that owned it was allowed to stay in there. So he's renting
No.
one end of that.
No, we knocked all that stuff out. We don't have subleases or people renting out there full-time or doing any of that. We're supposed to have cleared all that out. That the ones that we have were purchased, so when people come in the summer and they want to pay for storage in a hangar, that we charged them those high fees.
And Mayor, Council, I think Jenny did a research on that hangar lease, and there was a hangar lease for this current person that's there. But we need to check on that because those were going to be dedicated to somebody coming in and being able to use it, so.
So somebody's living out there?
No,
Well,
they're
we've
just-
had them,
Yeah.
the ones that have the apartments, they were setting up because, hey, it's a lot cheaper than a storage building, so they were storing crap out there. And then living there, when they'd come back into town, they just hang out there. And so that was not what this is set up to do. So we went through there, and we're supposed to be talking to all these people to let them know, if it's not airport related, you're not using it as a storage component. It's for airports, airplanes, whatever. And then the parties that were had out there, we got rid of all that.
Because Lee, that's a current, that plane there is a current pilot, right? He flies that plane. That's stored, okay.
Yeah, he's just leasing that spot in that hangar. Like I say, he was leasing that spot from the prior owner, of my understanding.
Yeah, I know, but
And
when
then
we buy it,
whenever-
we didn't make any deals with anybody previously. We bought those to generate revenue. And so I guess if we're generate revenue, but he didn't get I mean, it's not those cheap prices that these guys get. It's a higher, seasonal average that we were charging for because we saw pro formas on all this stuff about how much money we were supposed to be generating on these things. And I haven't seen one thing.
So we're charging a higher rate for short-term, right?
Yes, short term. Yes, I didn't even get that out very well.
What was that rate, Lee, per month on that one?
That, on the Cirrus, I believe it's, if I remember right, it's like $250 a month.
Yeah, that's not very much.
Well,
Mayor, council, let me work with Jenny and double check on the contracts that we have, and we'll bring you back where we're at as far as those are concerned. Because I don't think I'm familiar enough with those contracts, and I usually work with Lee on the budget on this side, so I'll double check on those.
Because every contract that we had that was proposed always came back to council for ratification.
Yes,
And
sir.
I haven't seen anything in the short term was just supposed to be for weekend in, weekend out. People coming in, they got their citation, they wanted to pull it in, or their whatever, their Queen Air, King Air, pull it in, we charged them a fee for that, and then they're gone Monday.
Let us bring back something related directly to rentals and hangars and T-hangers, and we'll take a look for you.
Because I know the T-hangers were leased, most all those.
And we had a second, also, there's a second hangar that we purchased, so what do we have in there, Lee?
It is being rented out as well on a monthly.
Okay.
It had never been rented out since the village bought it.
Well, we haven't had it that long. That's what I'm saying. We just closed on these deals in the last year.
It's been a couple of years.
Has it?
Yep.
Say, all last summer, it never got rented out. Nobody ever asked to use it, and a lot of the.
Again, I don't keep, like harping on it. I get tired of hearing, nobody ever did it, but nobody knows. That's the point, because they called me and said, I thought y'all were getting some hangers so I could pull my plane in. Because what they do is, looks like rain, snow, hail, the plane leaves and leaves them here and then comes back. They said, I'd rather spend the money here. So I thought that's what we bought those for. Not a long-term rental just to turn around and make $250 a month off of it when we spend $250,000 on it.
And
So how do
Mayor,
we get
That doesn't
that
debt
out?
service.
How do we get that out?
Well, Mayor, Council, I can answer that. So I know we've been working with Carrie on some type of activity. What I'll do is I'll also make sure that we're including that in it, just so that when this new season comes up, we'll figure out what needs to happen to get out more information. It'll be working on getting things ready. Is she up there? I
Yeah,
know.
I see Carrie up there at the agency, but we had looked at these before, that whatever we paid for them, 180 and I forget what the other was, 225? 279, that we had, where we could show how we would debt service these and generate revenue, and then by year whatever, we would be, and it doesn't seem like we followed through on that. And I know we've had a lot of change, because that was when the fire department, everybody was trying to run that deal. Thetford was out there, Joe's been there, and you're there. So we just need to get back on that plan that we had designed for that, to have a revenue stream. Because that's the problem with that airport, we've never had a revenue stream, really.
Well, and as we revisit, I know we're getting set up here to do their strategic planning. I'll try and capture that in their planning component and make sure we push that out as well.
Because we are very happy that the toilet paper's always there. The bathrooms are clean, because that used to be how bad it was, that we get complaints on that. So you guys are doing a great job on the inside. People love going in there, the friendliness, answering the phones, the radio, all of that.
But you probably need to get in the weeds of exactly who's in where, how are they in there, where's contracts, learn all that stuff. So when the questions get asked, you can go, no, here's why they're there, or they're coming out.
Because we were supposed to go in there and clean some of those out, because it wasn't airplane related. They were just using it as a storage building because it was cheaper.
Or an apartment.
Or an apartment.
Yes.
And then we had that big party out there that one time. All hell broke loose. And we found out there was a lot more going on out there. And so we want to make sure, and then I like the idea of the key card, so we know exactly who's going in and out of that thing. And did you have it in your budget? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do, and.
No, you don't. Well, I think you need to look at that
I
and
do.
figure that in. What we're talking about is access to the airport, because the state aviation and FAA, we're talking about having more secure. We were talking about not having cars driving up, out on the tarmac.
Yes, sir.
But some of those people, it's easier for them to offload the plane. It's like ready to go, and you go pick your people up and get off. But we have, everybody and their dog had the code out there. And so we've changed the code. And now we're looking at more secure areas where we have either a card that you physically have to give somebody, and then you're responsible for. And we know when you came in and when you come out, because we've got people going in and out that, not as much as we used to, because you've changed it.
And it has, we'll see when we start getting busier how well it goes, but so far, it's worked out real well. Like I say, we changed the gate code so they can't just ramble on. And we still do plane side service, but they're escorted now.
Yeah, and I think that's a good deal.
So-
Because they had a guy leave a car out there, impeded traffic, flew off, and then came back and his car was still there. But if we need to figure out how much that system's gonna cost for those gates and the card access, or something similar to what we have here.
Right.
And we were gonna look into that. Did we
And
ever
Lee
look into-
reached out to the company that did ours, and their person is no longer with the company, so Lee was reaching out to someone else.
And
But I-
I'm waiting on him to get
But I
back.
think Christella has good relationship with that company, that I think that's who we need to go with, the same company that did Village Hall and the Horton Complex, and get them over here.
I understand that, but when I called them, they told me there's nothing they can do for us until they get a tech. So we're just,
Well, what about, Jack over here? Didn't he put these on? Jack at Mountain Alarm?
We had, They're out of Albuquerque, a company out of Albuquerque.
Okay, can you help him, Christelle, find that? And we'll get that, because that was one of the things that the airport board suggested that we look into and do. So if we're talking about your budget and we're gonna do, we need to look at it. It may not get done, but at least we'll look at
There's a
it.
company in Cruces that does that.
Okay.
Okay. And how many cars do we have out there now?
Sir,
How many cars do we have out there now?
courtesy cars, or
Yes,
we've
sir.
got two from
Yep.
Sierra Blanca Motors, and then we've got one
One, I thought we had three.
or two, well, we've got two out there, but the Chevy Tahoe,
Uh-huh.
kind of rough. So, we usually send out the two from Sierra Blanca first,
Right.
and then we'll use the Ford Explorer. And so far, we haven't had, to send out four at the same time. So we kind of hold that Chevy Tahoe back until it's kind of the last.
When you say
straw.
rough, the interior or
It's well-used.
well used, yeah? Well,
Not-
most of them are like ex-cop cars.
Right, and I believe Chief had there was another vehicle he was willing to transfer it to your department also. We just need to get with Chief. There was a additional, I don't know if it was a Durango or something like that, so.
We've just not been able to attract Avis or Budget or any of those guys back after COVID. They just split. We can't get them back for now.
That we had the same issues the last airport I was at. We just couldn't get rental cars. And speaking of that, I did talk to the lady that works for Ruidoso Rental Cars, and she said they are working on getting at least two more cars for their fleet. So we'll see how that goes. We had, I believe it was 6 cars out there this weekend of theirs that were rented out and brought
Okay.
back yesterday. So she said they're working on getting some more cars.
That's good, because we didn't have any for a long time.
Drug testing, there's never been a budget for that. I asked for a budget. We are a sensitive department, and
HR handles all the fees for that.
I thought they paid for it.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
HR pays for that.
Well, scratch that one then.
Saving money already.
Equipment rentals. That one was budgeted for 2,000, and this year I'm asking for 44,000. So in 23-24, the equipment rental budget was for 2,000. The only piece of equipment that is currently renting is a Rico copier. And this year, I'm asking for an increase. We currently have 2 Jet A fuel trucks. 5,000 gallon, 2005 International, and a 1999 CCC 3,000 gallon. The CCC I took it out of service in December. It's got mechanical issues, the interlocks, haven't been working for a while from what I was told. We've got, all the hoses on it are out of date. The nozzles, one of the hose reels, the nozzles was tore apart, and the interlock for that hose reel is tied up with a zip tie, so the truck will still move.
That sounds practical.
So that truck is in real rough shape. It's, 25 years old? So I've been talking to AvFuel about leasing it'd be a 2016, between a 2016 and a 2020 model, international fuel truck, be a 5,000 gallon, and it's $3,300 a month.
What?
for a lease on the truck.
And what ton is the truck?
Sir,
How big a truck?
5,000 gallon.
I know, but what is that? 3-ton,
2-ton.
2-ton?
Well, that completely eats up your profit margin. It's gone then.
So, I mean, what's one cost to purchase?
We purchased one in Clovis or a year or so before I left there from Skymark. And if I remember correctly, that it was a 5,000 gallon. If I remember right, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 250,000.
And Mayor and Council, prior, when Dave Pierce was at the airport, they were leasing the fuel trucks from AvFuel, and then we purchased them directly from them. And these are the same trucks.
Well, I think this begs the question is, are we making any money?
And then how much fuel are you having to move? I mean, again, it's the layman down there, the little guy, he's going, hey, if I only had to go across the road one time, I'm better off than 2 times. But if the guys up here making the money choices say, well, you're gonna go twice because it's gonna cost us less.
Well, right now, leasing from AvFuel, we can't get a 3,000 gallon truck. They don't have any available.
Just 5.
Pretty much the industry is going to 5,000 or greater. They're steering away from the 3,000 gallon trucks. When I was in Clovis, we had the same truck that I'm trying to get rid of here. And when we put it in the shop and put a lot of money into getting that thing going, we borrowed one from AvFuel, and it was an old truck, and it was a 5,000 gallon. And at that time, they said that's all they had was 5,000s because they're steering away from the 3,000.
Ron, where are we at, with the board? We're looking at grant funding. I know we just signed one for a grant application, but, because one of the discussions was moving the fuel farm over.
That, Mayor and Council, that's still on our CIP, and it's going to be a few years down the road. We just need to, if we want to try to push that up higher on the list, we can work with our consultants and with Jane Lucero of State Aviation and try to see.
And Mayor and Council, just piggybacking on Ron's comments, most of those grants that we're going to get are from the runway out.
Yep.
Not necessarily the fuel farm. So if we do focus anything or find anything on the fuel farm, more than likely it'll be a grant that's outside of the aviation component and probably out of CIP in general.
Is that gonna cost a lot?
Yeah. $500,000 or more.
Yeah, because Jane,
We're not going across the highway and all
Right.
that other stuff.
Is it above ground?
yes,
Sir.
they're just driving, a quarter of a mile they have to drive from the fuel
And
farm.
then eventually get the 100 low lead self-serve, where some of these other pilots can go instead
Oh,
of having.
really? I didn't know they did that.
And just as an aside, Mayor and Council, I think, I know we're looking at our planning component, but the airport master plan next year should be ready to be redone again. And so if we build in that component and moving the fuel farm, it may help qualify us for further funding or future funding. So that might be an offset of the time that Ron mentioned that we're looking at for the ICIP from that, moving it up in priority.
So the question is, you need a truck. I've seen it. That thing's a POS. It really is. And we had that one incident where we filled up the wrong fuel, and so I know that ain't anything to do with that, but the truck, so what you're asking is we need to decide if we're, rent it or purchase one. It sounds like, paying 42,000, you said 3,500?
3,300 a month.
33, so you're less than about 40 grand a year. And is it a multi-year lease?
It's a 1-year lease and then a month-to-month after that.
Well, we need to do a cost benefit analysis.
No, we're responsible for the maintenance on it.
Yeah, so if we were to try to purchase a truck, don't look off, Judy. So, there's no other funding sources that you can think of that we could apply to?
And Mayor and Council, the main reason that this was placed on here is that we figured if we buy a truck, the amount of time that we're out on getting something like that, even if it was approved in this budget cycle versus needing the truck, we could at least offset operations that way.
By leasing?
By leasing.
Well, that's what I
upfront.
was getting to, is the availability, because everything else you do, 6 months to a year.
Yes, sir.
So if we entered into a 1-year lease to get where we need to be as far as safety and the equipment working properly.
And then we could
start
plan for a
looking
future
for,
purchase.
Mayor and Council, we'll look for some funding and just see what we can do. And also on the fuel farm.
okay, so you're gonna put the budget in there for the 40 grand?
For the,
It's already in there?
It's in there for the rental stuff.
yeah, it's 52,100.
So the markup that we talked about earlier, is that a set amount or can we adjust that?
On the,
Fuel, we can adjust it.
on the jet fuel, it's, the markup is set right now, but it's determined by you guys of what you want the markup to be.
And what we've done, Greg, is in the past, we found out we were one of the highest in the region, and we weren't moving fuel. And so we dropped it down. We took some opinions from the airport board, and, we're getting costs. We went, how far did we go out?
100 miles.
100 miles to try to get it. So what we've tried to do is stay 5% below the medium cost of the fuel, to try to get people to fly in and then be, not just fly in and fly out, but they fly in and then they spend time.
So
on the road.
you may be losing money on purpose.
Well, and it was a test that we were doing for 6 months, and to see if it's workable as kind of, I don't like to use the term lost leader a lot, but that's basically what it is, to get people to come to this front door, to actually come into town, because what we found out is they were filling up before, or they would come in and then they were flying over to Carrizozo, the smaller planes, and filling up, and there wasn't any need for that. So that's why it's important. We've been looking at a mechanic, the prop shop. Can't find anybody. We thought we did. Selling fuel, marketing the fuel, selling more fuel, and then offering services like the power unit to keep the air conditioning running in the jets while they're sitting there, and the lab services that we haven't done anything with. So to try to offset and generate some revenue.
And Mayor and Council, I think a really good snapshot will actually be this fly-in.
Yep.
And then the time between the fly-in or the pancake breakfast, and the fly-in. Especially with what we're gonna start pushing out, letting people know. I think that'll give us a decent projection on how events will impact us, whether they're staying here or not, whether that fuel piece will actually be an impact, and we're actually gonna lower costs even 50% or 50 cents more
On this
during
fly-in.
the pancake breakfast time and possibly the fly-in, depending on what the board recommends. But we may see a bigger impact, and we're gonna try and track that, so.
What you were just saying, kind of interesting there. So is there any way that, Terry, during that time frame where you're looking at the snapshot, the fly-in and the pancake breakfast, can get the cell phone data?
Sure.
And now you could apply it to where that actual traffic goes during that time and maybe a couple days afterwards? So that way you've captured that specific event, maybe not 100%, but at least.
It'll give us snapshot pictures. I know she's listening, and so.
Who's got Buxton controls now? I don't know. Carrie?
Yes, and we're doing some setups.
Did you hear that, Carrie? To capture the data on this fly-in? Okay.
No problem.
Okay.
And also, Mayor and Council, Lee has that new software that he's able to capture all the planes within that area around the airport. So that's been working out
And
very
our
well.
NOTAM's working.
Yes, sir. So on the software that he's talking about, the VerTower, what it does is it tracks if a plane has its ADS-B on, its transponder, it's a little black box. If they have it turned on, then when they cross the threshold of a runway at 500 feet, it counts them. The one issue that I've had with it is helicopters.
Helicopters?
Yeah, they don't come in over the threshold. They
Yeah.
generally just come in and land on the ramp. So I got with VerTower last week on it, and since we don't have a designated spot on the ramp or a pad, generally where the helicopters land, I have them map that out. And what they're gonna try to do is set up a zone right there and put a timer on it. So if I have a helicopter come in and land and a plane taxiing in at the same time, then the timer will, once the helicopter lands, the timer will shut off at however long they set it for, so that plane, when it taxis onto the ramp, it don't get counted twice. So they've never had a request like this, so they're working on
What's the
trying to fix
purpose of counting again?
it helps with our numbers, our operations with the FAA, with funding and
Okay, there you go.
mainly funding from the FAA. And the more accurate we are on our operations, on our counts, the better off we are.
And so this new grant that we're going after for the lighting over there and the apron?
That's gonna be for taxiway.
Taxiway and the lighting.
Well, actually, the one that you signed yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, that's for replacing the lighting on runway 624.
Okay, the other one.
Updating it, and our signs and our, all our nav aids.
And then on the overall, on the master plan that we're looking at with some of just the cracks and stuff that we have, people getting to their hangars, you know, on those roads, have we started looking at that yet? Has Armstrong started breaking that down for you?
No, they haven't. There's one in the back between the hangars that was brought to my attention yesterday. And I told them that whenever they're here to do our current project that we're getting ready to get started on, our crack seal,
Yeah.
that I'm gonna have them look at that and see what we can do with that one back there, because I looked at it when it was brought to my attention. I went back there and looked at it, and it's pretty good crack.
Yeah, it's a good crack.
Going
They've
through there,
been
so-
told about it.
I will have them look at it and see if there's something that we can work in with
There
this.
should be something we can do over there, because it's not a taxiway or a runway.
Right, and I mean, if nothing else, if I can get, Streets Department, if they have a crack seal machine.
You're sitting next to Sweetness right there. He can,
You'll just have to bring you asphalt, yes.
if we need to. And then I know we're working on a master plan for that whole area out there we're not done with, so. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Can I ask a question on your insurance and bonds line items? You have other and workman's comp. What's the other? For the tanks? Okay. And then shouldn't workman's comp be in personnel?
I put all of workman's comp insurance, that way pay to New Mexico Self-Insurance Fund in that line item.
Okay, so that changed, okay. Because I mean, I see it up here in personnel, there's money.
That's the 230 charge.
Assessment fee?
Assessment fee.
Yep.
Per employee per quarter.
I'm confused.
So, we pay, $2 and the employee we pay $2.30 and the employee pays $2 every quarter.
Every quarter,
On the number of employees you have on that quarter.
okay. So that's out of this line item.
That's out of the personnel line.
Okay,
item.
out of the
And then
personnel
our
line.
insurance that we paid to self-insurance fund for workman's comp is paid out of that 5.2, whatever that number is on the, in that.
5210.
Yes.
When did we start doing that? I don't remember that.
They're doing what?
Taking it out of the operating line item to pay for the self-insurance fund.
Since I've been here?
Really? Wow. I really missed it then.
Does it have anything to do with classifications of employees and different
Yeah,
rates?
so like, I think like the paver guys, if they're categorized like that, you pay a higher rate versus somebody who sits at a desk.
I think the solid waste and the
Solid waste.
pay a little more.
And that's why you itemize it per department?
Yeah, we tried to.
Okay.
Paver guys, is that, what department's that? Paver guy. I want to be a paver guy. I'm here to sign up.
You wouldn't like that.
It's the same with Mayor Crawford, Counselor Salas, with the, we'll receive our invoicing each quarter from the self-insurance fund on the general liability. If we have any type of claims, each department, we separate those and each department pays their portion of it.
Okay.
Anything else there, Mr. Lee?
I've got one last thing. So on, I didn't have anything on the equipment and vehicles because I didn't get the paperwork in. I don't remember which, let's see, 53001. So out of that current budget, I was able to purchase a new zero-turn lawnmower. The one that's currently out there is a residential, and it's,
I bet we got all the goodie out of that one.
I think we did. So I was able to purchase that one. Well, I was hoping to be able to purchase another one. So when we're out there mowing and stuff, we can have two mowers going and keep up with the vegetation around the runways and taxiways better. And then I also am looking at getting another vehicle. So in our strategic plan, I think it was a goal 3 or 4, to start replacing the maintenance vehicles out there. So I'm looking at trying to get another vehicle, another.
So you're talking about a truck rather than a tug or anything like that to pull the planes around? You're talking about a truck to pull trailers, to haul stuff?
Correct, just a pickup.
Yeah, and we kind of did away with the side-by-side thing.
I'm still kicking that around. Yeah, I'm still kicking that around. I haven't decided yet what would be the best way to go as far as what we're wanting to do there. We do have 2 tugs out there. We've got electro tug that scoops up the front of an airplane and drags it around. And then there's an older tug that was broke down when I got there. And when these new guys started out there, they got it running. So they need to do a little more tweaking to it, but they've got it running to where we can use it if we need to haul stuff around. It'll work great for hauling the GPUs around and stuff like that. Right now, they're using a pickup to pull the GPUs and stuff out to the airplanes, and that's, it'd be a lot easier to do and
How much are you looking at for those 2 items?
well, there's one other item
Oh, I'm sorry.
on there as well. And I'm looking at a 300-gallon rapid response spill kit. And what it is, you know, the luggage carts that you see them pulling around at big airports? Well, this company that I got the lav cart and the GPU from has taken one of those carts and built a spill kit into it.
How much they want for that?
They want $10,598.
And that's for the trailer and all the
For the
material.
trailer and all the material.
And that's just like a powder dust material that knocks down the VOCs and absorbs the hydrocarbons and keeps it from burning.
Yep, and it's the socks, the diapers, the whole 9 yards, and it's enough to pick up 300 gallons of fuel. It comes with the shovels, coveralls, gloves, plastic shovels, non-sparking, brooms, and it's all contained in this one spill kit that if you have an issue.
What are we doing right now?
We have nothing right now.
We gotta do that because it's
Yeah.
300 gallons. I mean, just a gallon, just next time we fill up gas just for fun, just run a little gas out on them.
Dump a gallon of gas on the ground and see what
Cover the whole parking lot.
It'll evaporate.
So what about the fire department? They have some of this equipment on there? They don't have anything, because when they pull up on a car, they throw stuff on the ground.
They have
Kitty
these,
litter.
dry sweep.
Cat litter,
Yep, yep.
Well, this other stuff you're talking about, it's a manufactured product out of cottonseed hull, I bet. And it's a powder and it absorbs hydrocarbons like that, sheds water. So even if it's wet out there with rain or snow, it'll take on the oil, hold it, and knocks the volatiles out of it so you don't have the flash.
But all of that you got is in your 74,000.
$78,164.97.
That's everything. That's what you're asking for. Truck, lawnmower,
And
flux capacitor, Q13, X-ray PDQ, BR549.
Tubulator.
Yeah.
That was for back there, but.
I don't see a budget for,
Well, that's what he's proposing. He just,
but where did you get that?
on the fly.
I saw it. Where did I lose it?
It was in the
Equipment
23,
vehicle,
24.
73,522.
That's
Last
what's left in from, is that
Oh,
correct?
okay.
That's what's left in from this previous
Oh,
year.
okay.
That's what I thought.
Gotcha. My bad.
So basically, I guess what I'm doing is asking for that back and a little more.
And just moving up, Mayor, Council, one other thing, your software maintenance. It was budgeted in 23-24 for 2,400, and there was a typo in there. This year he's asking for 24,000, it needs to go back to 2,400. So that'll
Okay.
be out of there.
Was that really a typo or you just trying to slide that
He was
in?
trying to slip something in there, but
You know,
So how much are we looking at? So 10,000, 11,000 for the
Trailer.
trailer and then a truck.
78,164.97.
So is that gonna have a
So the whole
snowplow?
thing?
Yeah, that's.
All three items?
That's the trucks and everything.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
that's
The
one,
mower.
And we already have 70, he already has 73,000 left.
Yes.
Okay.
Just carrying that over and adding a couple $1,000. Well, what size mower are you getting? I mean, that alone is probably about 25, 30,000.
13,000.
Is that an 84-inch mowing deck?
No, the biggest I make is a 72, but I'm getting, the one that I just purchased is a 60-inch, and that's what I'll get on this new one if I get it, is a 60-inch.
To mow all that out there.
Well, the mower is to clean up around the lights, the signs, get where we can't
Okay,
get.
I
Because
see.
we have a 15-foot shredder deck
Okay.
that's to mow,
That you pull?
That you
that you
pull
pull
and,
behind the
okay.
tractor, and it's good for mowing straight lines, but when you get out there and start weaving in and out around lights and stuff
Yeah.
with it, you end up,
Okay, I got you.
losing lights.
What brand is it?
John Deere. And the one that I just purchased was $12,936.
What mowing deck is that?
It's a 60 inch.
60, and another 60? Because we used to get those highway department mowers. I remember Tim Morris had those out there, and they just take one SWAT.
Once they pop up and lay
That they,
down.
you see them along the highway?
Yeah.
And that's what, go there.
That
So
sounds
you
pretty
have a
good.
big one to do the field,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
and then you
Good.
use this one just to clean up.
Yes, sir.
Do the trimming, a trimmer.
Like I say, to get up close to fences,
Yeah.
mow around lights, signs, equipment, and stuff like that to get the big one to where pretty much keep it in a straight line.
Because you got to keep that mowed down to keep the rabbits and the whatever from running across the.
Correct.
So what do you do, what have we done about the weeds and the crap that grow around the edge of the buildings?
Weed
Is
eaters?
that back to the rentee? The renter?
I haven't found anything in any leases yet that tells me exactly how far out past the wall they're responsible for. So basically, what they did last year is, I just tell them, go mow it. clean
Well,
it
we
up.
whacked it all down and then somebody had some special grass, remember that?
And yes, they had some sort of native grass or whatnot.
I threw a shoe over it.
Not doing the job.
Okay, so the mower, 60-inch, and with the big, what'd you call that thing, sweep? You already have it. That you pull behind the
Oh, the
trailer.
shredder. Yes, sir.
Shredder. So it's like a lawnmower?
Yes, sir. It's a, what they call a bat wing, 15-foot shredder deck.
Comes up and lays down?
Correct. And the one we have that's pretty standard, it runs off of PTO or, yeah,
Take
PTO.
time off?
Yep,
PTO, runs
every
off.
chance it gets.
Yeah.
So it's shaft drive on the decks. So they're ones that, once you start it, or before you start it, they have to be out. So like the ones you see on the highway, on the
Yes, sir.
state where they have one up, they're hydraulic. So they can actually raise one up and it shuts that wing off and they can use the rest of them, whatever configuration they want. But I'm not looking to get one of those.
Okay, what else you got?
I think that's about all I have.
It's a good thing. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Mexican food is here, and Mexican food is here, and so we might want to eat it. So y'all are all welcome to eat.
Yes.
Beans?
The Alamogordo paper, they said if Rhonda hadn't got it in, you would have won this race.
That's what they said. Well,
Because you
we're,
have the most experience.
but we're still working on him because some of his own people have been telling, but I'm not one of those, I don't want to have bad stuff, talk about it, but they're sending me all this Oppo research and I just don't want to deal with it. I said, if we can't win by being nice and
Yeah.
trying to doing the talking and spending the money advertising, then I probably don't deserve it. Because I don't want to be that kind of crappy. Nope, I will though. So Jerry, y'all come on get some Mexican food. Isaac, wake up. I know you've been up all night. Well, that was good.
I'll text you.
Okay,
Okay,
We are gonna lose money from what we were